And welcome to Chicago Seminars. We are doing a very virtual experience. We've got a lively variety show planned. We are going to pop in with one of our registration desk regulars. Pratt, take it away. Chicago Seminars. We are doing a very virtual experience. We've got a lively variety show planned. Pratt, you need to mute your YouTube. Pratt, you need to turn off your YouTube. Okay, well, we've got some registration desk technical difficulties, so I think we're going to pass on Pratt. You need to turn off your YouTube, Pratt, and welcome everybody. Thumbs up when you're ready to go. But this is the we've got several of our registration desk buddies that always like to appear at Pratt. Are you ready to go? Okay, go ahead, Pratt.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Too bad we can't see each other in person like I do most years in Chicago. And it always is good because I'm stationed here, I'm local here. I'm looking forward to this tremendous hard work Stefan has put into this affair to keep us going, and hope we all come away with something productive. My first experience was I paid for an annual fee on a credit card just by learning a small trick. So let's pay attention. Again, welcome.
Thank you, Pratt. All right.
Hello, Chicago Seminars. 2020 is not a great year. We're going to miss you guys this year, but we look forward to seeing you guys back in 2021 and ready to party. As you see, we are all set with hand sanitizers everywhere. We sanitize the hotel on a constant basis. Meeting space is sanitized on a daily basis. In between meetings, in between breaks. So we are ready for you guys. You guys all be safe for the remaining of the year, and we will see you back in 2021, October. Be safe, be good, wear your face mask, use your hand sanitizer, and wash your hands. We love you guys, and we'll see you next year. Bye.
Right. And we are back with Rick and Howie. We've got Howie is unmasked. We've got the Rick and Howie show. Rick and Howie, your credit is your most important asset. Take it away, Rick.
Amen. Sure worked for us. Hi, everybody. Can't believe it's been 11 years since we started this. I got a telephone call one day from Wynn Schaefer, one of my blog readers, and said, why don't you get a group of people together and start a seminar? And we started from there. We had great participation from speakers since day one, from audience since day one, and it's been a great success. I hope the virtual goes well this year, and I also hope we can get back to regular next year. But that tagline that I use, your credit is one of your most important assets, was certainly true for me. My wife and I have been to 73 countries, 5 continents, all on frequent flyer miles and hotel points. The best one was a 61-day trip around the world, all business class, and 59 of the 61 nights of hotels were on hotel points. So we saw a lot. We're really grateful for all the participation. I got to mention 2 names that helped me get started in Flyer Talk back in 2001. Nathan Weber and Steve Belkin were of great help to me, as was Randy Peterson. And I wish you all in your travel ventures the best of luck.
Well, I got to say, Rick, you were the one that got me hooked up into this. And it all happened to start one day when you had posted something on your blog and you had said, how do I post an image? And this is back in the good old blogger days where, when you first got started with Frugal Travel Guy, you could type away, but had no clue how to put a picture. And I remember you asking and then me saying, sure, I'll help you out. And then about 5 minutes later, I was logging into your blog, posting pictures because you had no clue what you were doing. And you were just happy to get some help to try to figure out how to share this with everybody. And then I remember the first credit card I got based on what you were talking about was the Starwood Preferred Guest American Express card. And I think that was the game starter for us all. So long live SPG.
Looks like I was given more time than I had speech made up for.
But
where's Howie? Put him on.
Yeah, we've got Howie.
Rick can't hear me.
Oh, okay.
Always technical issues.
Yeah, we're good.
Now everybody knows why whenever we're in Chicago, I'm always running around because Rick can't hear something or somebody's projector is not working or something's not happening. But first off, I really do need to thank Stefan for taking the lead here and making all of this happen. And he's been doing video throughout the entire year throughout this pandemic as a part of the Every Passport Stamp group that he's got on Facebook. So I, again, really just want to thank Stefan for getting all of this organized. I've put in tons of effort and it's nice to see all of that effort over all of those years be able to transition to something that can function virtually this year. And we absolutely hope to be back in person next year, but I've got to give kudos to Stefan and everybody else for volunteering this year. And I'm looking forward to listening in and learning. It's nice to actually be a participant instead of a presenter and organizer running around the whole time. So thank you again.
Oh, fantastic. And one of my highlights of Chicago seminars is always the Howie, it's like a Fellini movie, his expressions as he dashes by. Can we get a Howie rushing to the fix a projector?
And I am sorry that there is no pizza and pasta for you today, Stefan. I know your love and passion for that, but I wasn't able to Grubhub something out to your house to be able to have that delivered. I'm sorry.
I did make some pasta last night, but I'll heat now because it is the tradition that pasta and pizza was seeded from the first event and just unfrozen every 10 years to unload. That's part of how the costs were controlled.
That's right. Awesome.
Howie, we've got a segment coming up on renovating, but you took the fixer-upper that keeps being fixer-uppering. So unbonus spend has been your year, as I understand.
Yeah. I have really leveraged the earn 2 points per dollar on your everyday spend wherever possible. So Capital One Spark was a great one for me this year, along with American Express Blue Business Plus, earning 2 points per dollar wherever I could has been huge. My wife and I just finished a 16-month renovation on a house built in 1873. And we took it down to studs, and it's been the one big positive, nice thing for us this year. I've never picked up so many points organically as I have this year, and a couple of new credit cards that I picked up easily met bonuses on them. So it's good from that perspective of earning points and miles, but then you just watch your bank account drain and drain and drain, and you watch your mortgage balance go up and up and up. So, I guess I'll take what I can right now and live with the pain for the next 30 years of mortgage payments or something like that.
Well, congrats on getting that project done.
Thank you.
We have a comment about, I wish Capital One would like me again. So this is a card you did get approved recently, or this is one you held, and why the Spark for those of us that ignore them?
So I got the Spark card towards the end of last year, and the promotion on it was, I think the spend requirement was $50,000 for the full bonus, which was 200,000 bonus points. So the timing on it was just kind of perfect for me. I had a venture card maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So Capital One doesn't hate me. So I've been pretty lucky from that perspective. If anyone doesn't like me, it's probably Barclays. US Bank definitely doesn't like me, but I think it has to do with those weird extra credit bureaus that they use to do identity verification. I still have the Radisson rewards cards. I'm not quite sure why, but when someone gives you 40,000 points every year for doing nothing, it's just very difficult to not take them. Yes, I know I have to pay
there were
the
a few
annual.
years where you were the guy with the Radisson points. And it was like, kids going for Halloween to your house. Here's 5,000 points.
I do remember at one point my Radisson rewards balance was over 2 million points. So, and that was with when you had the credit card. It was stay 2 nights, and the second night was free when you booked it with points with the credit card. And so there were so many book 2 nights, and then I'd have my wife book 2 nights, and then I'd book 2 nights, and my wife would book 2 nights, and we effectively get 50% off everything we booked with points. So that was pretty good, but there's not a ton of aspirational properties, so it doesn't always work out. But if you can find one, it works out pretty good, especially in Europe.
Yeah, fantastic. And I would also add some of the Middle East and Asia as well.
Yeah.
And Rick, a lot of questions have been coming this year about banks changing policies and loosening things, tightening things. People are saying, should I apply now? Should I wait? Especially if they have existing relationships with banks. Each bank is different, but how would you begin assessing that decision? So you've got a few cards that you want to keep with a bank, but you're interested in continuing to acquire new ones.
I think some of the ones that have come out just recently are fantastic, and I'd grab them. My only concern, and the only thing we really don't have any heads up on yet, is there going to be some sort of massive devaluation when these guys realize what kind of financial mess they're actually in? So, it's really a hit and miss game at this point. I think if your credit can stand it, and you've got the ability to make this minimum spend, go ahead and get them. They're certainly not canceling or closing out any accounts based on non-use. So fill up the coffers again.
All right. Fantastic. Fill up the coffers. And the questions about when is this event in 2021. So it is the same weekend, October 16th to 17th. That is the plan. That is the plan to be in person. We will mark the date, and I'll commit to we will do something in some format.
I'm just saying, we're not even through the introduction here, and people are already asking when's next year's event.
All
Give
right.
us at least until the end, folks. Wow.
Well, it's been an incredible ride with both of you guys, and thank you for kicking us off and getting our day adventure started. We are now going to bring on 2 of the frequent flyer duo. Thank you, Howie and Rick, for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, everyone.
And we are back. Stephen, again, we tested, and he has to push the button to get his video going again. Exactly what we tested yesterday.
Okay,
Nick, have we got you? Nick, we can see you but can't hear you. So all of our testing yesterday. We've got Stephen. Okay, I think we've got Nick and Stephen back. So no, we've still got Nick silent. So whatever magic button he pushed yesterday, he did not push this morning. Stephen, we've got 2-player mode as the topic. So this is exactly well, we've only got one.
Apparently we're in one player mode, or 1 player and 1 host mode.
Yes, so exactly. So Nick will gesticulate, and Stephen will tell us about 2-player mode.
Yeah, we're still not getting you, Nick.
Yeah, I think we'll just remove Nick. This will be like the chase the chase shutdown. You'll have no idea. Nick, you're out. You'll have to pop back in. All right, Stephen. Tell us about 2-player mode in 1-player format.
So Nick and I were each going to split up some things. So I'll cover some of the things that I was going to talk about. So first of all, we've got the Amex and Chase referrals, where you can refer people to another card. So that can be a great way of racking up some points when you're in 2-player mode, because you can refer your partner, they can refer you back and forth to different cards. And We're still not hearing you, Nick. If you change your mic to something different and then change it back again, that's what worked for my camera.
I think I got it.
There
Can you
we
guys
go.
hear me
Yes,
now?
there we go.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Cool.
My
Yeah.
fault. Yep.
The people with
came out. A little cord came out.
I've learned in this process, the people with the most professional tech setup are the hardest ones to get right each time. But when it's good, it's good. We've got Nick and his radio voice back on. We've got two-player
There we
mode
go.
really
Glad to
going
be here.
two-player.
2-player mode and 2-player mode. That's it's kind of a meta sort of a thing. So 2-player mode, right? That's what we're going to talk about here, because many of you out there probably play the game in 2-player mode, right? So some of you probably have a partner, spouse, somebody who does this with you who isn't as interested in miles and points, but they don't have to be, because you can obviously earn a lot more when you have a partner. You can really stack and scale things. So Stephen and I wanted to talk about some of those opportunities. I know, Stephen, you have taken good advantage of the Amex and Chase referrals with your wife, right?
Yeah, so I have the Chasing Plus, and my wife's been under 524 for the last year or so. So we've taken advantage of like 2 or 3 different Chase cards since then. And one of those was the Chasing Business Preferred. So the Chasing Plus, even though that's not available anymore, I can refer from that card to the Ink Preferred. And so we got 20,000 points from that. And that was back when there was an 80,000 point offer for, I think it was 5,000 a spend. So that was 100,000 ultimate rewards we racked up between us just for that one application. So that was a nice easy one. And then Amex sometimes offers increased referral bonuses on certain cards. So we've seen the Amex Gold card go as high as 30,000 membership rewards. At the moment, I think my wife's is showing up at 25,000. So you can refer each other to those cards, or to the Hilton and Marriott, and all kinds of different things. And it doesn't even have to be that you even have that card in the first place. You can refer them to a card, and then they can select something else on Amex's website, apply for a completely different card, whether that's business or personal, and they'll still end up getting the referral bonus for that card.
And I think a lot of people ignore that, because I think there's just a huge number of points. I counted it up today, and there's 27 Amex issued Amex cards. So I'm not talking about like the Schwab Platinum, even though you can get referrals on that. 27 of them issued by Amex. So if you were to average 15,000 points referring your spouse on each of those 27 cards, that's like more than 400,000 points that you could each get just referring each other back and forth. And a key point here is that the person you're referring doesn't necessarily need to be eligible for the welcome bonus. Let's say they've had the card before, they got rid of it, they decide that they want it again for one of the benefits. You can still refer them and pick up easy referral points from your account, and you want to pick the account that has the highest referral bonus. So referring each other can really rack up a lot of points. Like I said, we're talking like 400,000 points for each partner, just referring each other back and forth to the Amex cards, and that's before you run out, right? And it could certainly be more if you spread that over a number of years and you use those bonuses like Stephen mentioned, where maybe you can get 25,000 each time. Then you're looking at over 1 million points between the two of you just referring each other back and forth for all the various Amex cards. So I think that's certainly one venue where you can pick up a lot of miles and points. What's something else that you save a lot of money with, or that you've done well with referrals, Stephen?
What, in terms of credit cards, or with other kind of referring stuff?
What other kinds of things?
Oh, okay.
What other kinds of ways?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of apps and things like that that offer referral bonuses. So you have stock apps like Webull, there's shopping apps like Ibotta, there's Flues, and things like that. So Flues can actually be a pretty good one. That's an app where you can buy gift cards in the app, and then you earn cash back when doing that. So it's a little bit like MPX, except rather than earning mileage plus miles, you earn cash back. But the difference with Flues is that when you refer someone, you earn a small amount of their cashback earnings down the line. And so it's almost a little bit like an MLM scheme, but not like. And so what it can be worth doing is, if you're going to be the heavy hitter with buying gift cards through the app, is to have your partner apply for it first, have them refer you, and then they'll end up earning a commission on things from all of your purchases in the app. So that can end up racking up depending on how much volume you're actually doing through the app, and things like that can be useful. And also hitting big referral bonuses and things. So with Acorns in the past, they were offering some really nice bonuses when you referred 3 people or 5 people and things like that. And I had been waiting to refer my wife, and so I'd managed to pick up like 2 or 3 other referrals, and then I referred her, and so that helped me hit the threshold for getting, I think it was $1,000 at the time or something like that. And so that was the one that I needed in order to get that. So having that extra person you can count on to push you over the line for those kind of thresholds can be particularly helpful.
Yeah, well, and and those kinds of thresholds, another thing that I think a lot of people are ignoring and shouldn't be is bank account bonuses. I've been writing about those a little bit more this year than in past years. Sometimes there's opportunities where you can open an account, refer your spouse, and they open an account. Last year, we saw a great deal with SoFi where it was super easy, pajama points, so to speak, that where a couple playing in 2-player mode could easily make $400 or $500. I wrote about one recently with HSBC where potentially a couple could make $1,300 just opening up a couple of bank accounts and referring each other and meeting the requirements for them. And a lot of them can be relatively easy. And this year, my wife and I, just in bank account bonuses, I'm just talking new account bonuses, savings accounts, checking accounts, investment accounts, etc. We're going to make a little over $5,200 this year. Altogether. And we've already hit more than 4, and with the bonuses that I expect to post before the end of this year, in this year alone, it would be $5,200 in bonuses. It's just something that you don't want to ignore when you see those bank account bonuses. Just last night, I ran across one at Miles to Memories, this North One bank that was seriously, it might have taken me 20 minutes to sign both me and my wife up for these bank accounts, and it was a $600 bonus that was confirmed. It takes 32 days to pay out. When you're playing in 2-player mode, you can pick up those things. It was a $300 bonus each, but times 2 at $600. And then, of course, I'll get some other family members interested in it too. And so I think drawing other family members in can be good. Somebody mentioned in the comments, by the way, with Amex, when you're referring back and forth, Amex does have limits in terms of how many credit cards you can have: 4 credit cards, 10 charge cards. But that still gives you a fair amount of bandwidth between the number of charge cards and credit cards that you can refer back and forth and have. Now, it kind of depends on which ones you want to have and hold. So you may have to spread that out over a number of years, depending on which cards you want to have, which cards you value in your household. But the fact of the matter stands that there's a lot of opportunity there. Somebody else mentioned the Rat Squad. And I think if you're not referring yourself, I think you're likely to be fine. Now, who knows? Amex has gotten a little clawback happy the last couple of years, but I haven't heard a single data point of somebody who had trouble referring a spouse. So it's a new customer. It seems to qualify. I don't think that there's anything underhanded about that. So that's definitely a thing. And now, when we're talking about Amex,
I'm just going to interrupt. You guys make it sound too darn easy, and the rest of us have, there's a chunk of us that have spouses and partners in our life that we weren't in the points hobby when they potentially fell in love with us, and I had that moment a few years ago, which I never want to receive a phone call like that again. And that was from Amex on something. And I've got a sticky on my monitor that says, "Don't touch my accounts." So this twofer, it's so breezily, like everybody's going to buy in. We found it's better to just not have anything other than, where do you want to use the hotel free night certs I earned?
Well, and
well,
so
with referrals, it's less issue though.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
If you're just talking about referral, like it's one thing to open up cards in their name, maybe, but if you're after new cards yourself, then you can just use your partner's referral link, so long as they're actually willing to give you the login details, and then that way that kind of solves that problem, because then they don't have to get involved. It doesn't affect them other than them racking up some bonus points. But yeah, I can understand that. Thankfully, my wife's a good sport. She's not into the whole gaming thing herself, but she'll happily assist me in what I need to do.
Now, Stephen, I've been curious that the British sense of scheme and the American sense of scheme, and how do you decide where do you draw your line?
That's true. Like, I tend to use scheme when I'm talking about a program. So like in the UK, we talk about loyalty schemes, and so sometimes I'll switch back into that. So I guess Like I think of Scheme as in like a program a lot too as well. So I kind of use it interchangeably. So it's not necessarily a kind of devious, malevolent kind of thing that I'm thinking of when I say the word Scheme.
And here's the thing: not everybody's spouse is going to want to get deep in the weeds with, gaming the system, so to speak. I mean, frequent miler, we've written a lot over the years about manufactured spending, and not everybody's got a spouse that's going to want to get out there and do the legwork in terms of buying gift cards and money orders and things like that. And I get that. So you got to try to make it easy. And I got to say that, when you look at something like when my wife woke up this morning and I said, "Hey, honey, I found $600 in bank account bonuses last night," she doesn't get too upset about that kind of thing. So I think, if you present it right and it's saving you money and also helping you travel more comfortably, I think that, a lot of times you can get through some of those hurdles, maybe not all of them, because Stefan's got that Post-it note on his computer, but a lot of these things open up great opportunities. And you can stack different pieces and parts together. Like, when you talk about Amex cards and Chase cards, a lot of them have Amex offers and Chase offers. You might be able to stack those when you have more than one card in the household. You can go to the grocery store, you can go to Lowe's, you can go wherever it is you're going to go, split tender. And again, I find most people like to save a little bit of money. So when you can stack those things together, it's a great opportunity to be able to do it. You split tender on a big purchase. I know Steven said he splits tender quite frequently on those Amex offers.
Yeah, we just did it the other week as well with a hotel Amex offer. So we had one for Embassy Suites, which I think was giving $60 back when spending $250, and our stay cost more than $500. So we ended up putting $250 on one card, $250 on another, and then the balance on Hilton Aspire. So we got $120 back in statement credits from the Amex offers, and then earned 14x on the rest. So things like that. It's just a easy win if you can split tender with things like that. And so sometimes you can end up getting 4 offers potentially. Like if you have the statement credit and the membership rewards versions of offers for 2 people, then that's like 4 times you can potentially take advantage of an offer that way. In this case, we only had the statement credit, but things like that can just be particularly useful just for racking up some more savings with no extra effort.
Nick, was that the first thing you said in the morning? That was was there was there a small talk good morning, or was there just you woken up? No. I found $600 because I tried that with them in A&A Mistake Fair once, and she said never wake me up in the morning with I found a mistake fair. You can say good morning, honey, I love you.
No, I let her wake up on her own, and she was kind of in that blog, and I was like, hey, found $600 last night, hon, and that put a smile on her face right away, right out of bed, like. Great mood all of a sudden. So, and that helps on days like today when she's got to deal with the 2 kids and I'm here getting to hang out and talk about miles and points. And, she's got at least a little bit of a smile on her face during the day, while I'm away working. So yeah, I mean, and, if you want to get simpler, Steven mentioned saving on hotel stays. Oftentimes just planning out your credit card strategy can save you a ton of money. I know Steven and his wife both have the World of Hyatt credit card. And if you have 2 people that line up your free night certificates, like the World of Hyatt credit card comes with a free night certificate every year. So if you each have that card, you put those together, you get a free weekend away each year, just based on the cost of the annual fee. It costs you the annual fee. Then if you're somebody who can handle doing some spend, you each spend $15,000 on your card and you each earn another free night certificate. Now you're at 4 free nights over the course of the year. You're also going to earn points on doing that spend. So you'll earn enough points for 2 more free nights. That's 6 nights. If either one of you gets to Explorer status, you're talking about a 7th free night. Just with 2 credit cards and putting all your spend on those 2 cards, or putting the right amount of spend, I should say, on those 2 cards, you'd end up easily with a week away. When you're playing in 2-player mode, it's easy to amplify those things.
Fantastic. And in closing, Steven, you and your wife, No Home, Just Roam is the site. This project of visiting every state in the U.S. over a multi-year trip that's getting longer and longer.
Yes, it is.
You've already been living the lifestyle that some of us in the past few months thought or think we might attempt. Should we or shouldn't we? And
it has its days. The road trips kind of slow down a bit because of COVID now. So we're moving less frequently, but we are still officially on the road and trying to do as much safe stuff as we can.
So when you get into a Residence Inn for 5 weeks and they will only give you the studio suite and say that's an upgrade, how does the relationship?
It's funny you mention that because we're in a Residence Inn,
Yeah.
we're in a studio suite, and they were sold out of 1 and 2 bedroom suites, and so we have been living like that for the last week, and we have another few days here. So yeah, it's not ideal when you're in a studio suite together for so long, especially seeing as I'm up late at night. My wife teaches early in the morning sometimes, but it works. Like most of the time, it's not like that. So.
And
see, well, no, you got to do that every now and then, because then that's what convinces player 2 that you really do need to keep opening those cards and getting more points and free night certificates, so you can book a different place and get that 1 bedroom because you got the status, et cetera, et cetera.
And Nick, we've got congratulations on the new edition, and let us know when
thank you.
the baby gets a credit card from Jerry.
Oh,
yes.
already got one. Already got an authorized user. I wrote about that actually because the week he was born, I think Marriott sent out an email with an offer for 10,000 points for adding an authorized user on one of our Marriott cards, and so I added him. So within the first month, I actually wrote a post about how within the first month of his life, he helped us generate almost 200,000 points. So I just wrote that recently. So that was only 10,000 of the points, but yeah, so he's already got a card with his name on it. Of course, it's an authorized user card, so it's going to be a few years before he gets his own.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. We're talking MS, where 10,000, 100,000, that's small numbers. We've got Zach joining in. Thank you for joining us, Nick and Stephen, a frequent miler.
Thank you. Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Stefan.
All right.
House cleaners here, so I have my mask on just to be safe.
All right.
I don't normally sit in.
I cut in. They're so verbose. I cut into 2 minutes of the MS time, so everybody is going to slam. But to introduce Zach, he was at Chicago Seminars last year. Talked about buying groups. I met Zach a few years ago, and we turned out we were at one point living in the same building in Jersey City. And I've never seen anybody take to the points hobby like Zach. His ability to network, to figure things out, to scale things up, build systems is just incredible. And I am every little one-off deal I pursue, every $5, $10 thing, I can't resist. I try to think how Zach would be like, don't waste your time on this stuff, go big. So take it away, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was in part your advice 2 Chicago seminars ago. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
2 Chicago seminars where you said, most of the heavy hitters really just focus on 1 or 2 plays that are their bread and butter, and really just try to perfect those plays. You're right. Certainly trying to $5 here, $10 there, it adds up for sure. And I'm not saying don't, shy away from any sort of savings, but at the end of the day, your time is also extremely valuable. So any opportunity you have to sort of streamline your processes is something that I definitely suggest people invest time in. The way I like to say it is I'm lazy. So I like to try to automate things as much as I can, whether it's processes or using technology to automate things. And I say it's lazy, but at the end of the day, like the more time you spend up front, setting something up, the more time you save in the back end. And your time is valuable, and that's basically one big thing. So yeah, manufactured spend. I'm definitely different than most of the speakers. From what I know, is a lot of the speakers are bloggers or sort of public figures in the space. I'm not. I consider myself a hacker. I'm not a blogger. Typically, I am a lot more secretive than a lot of the people in the hobby. And that's not something that I'm, ashamed of at all. This hobby can be extremely, extremely valuable. You can travel like a millionaire. You can fake it till you make it, or this hobby can make you into a millionaire. I know at least 10 people in this hobby who've made 7 figures. So this is
cash. This is cash, not points.
Yeah. So the sky is really the limit. I was going to tell everyone on this call How to Become a Millionaire, but for $11, you don't get that much information.
Well, a guy messaged me. He said, "Is this the MS conference?" I said, we'll talk about public available deals and some strategies, but he said, well, then where's the MS conference? And I said, well, you may need to come to the non-MS conference to meet the people who tell you about MS.
So that's the thing, though. Like, so when people ask, how can I make money in this hobby, or how can I scale millions of points? My answer a lot of times is, can you give me free money? And it catches people off guard, but that's really what it comes down to, is when someone who you just met asks you, how can I make money, or how can I MS? They're effectively asking you for free money. And that's really not something that people are generally super receptive to, especially people who put in the work. What I will say, though, is what Stefan said is true. Networking is absolutely critical in this hobby. No one is smart enough to be extremely successful on their own. Having a core team of fellow MSers is imperative. You just simply can't know everything. You simply cannot test everything. I'm very fortunate to know some extremely smart people who I collaborate with. I didn't just day one find these people. I started with joining public Facebook groups. There's a slew of excellent groups online on Facebook that you can join to start meeting people. One that I would suggest is Manufactured Spending 101. I'll post a link in the Facebook group when this is over. My friend Amit runs it. I think someone had mentioned to me that Flues has already come up today, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time belaboring Flues. One thing I will say is it's an avenue to earn 5x from your couch. 5x ultimate rewards points, which for me personally I value the most because I'm a huge Hyatt fan. So Flues is something that I certainly would encourage people who are new to look into. And again, Manufactured Spending 101 is a group where you can learn more about Flues. And again, I'll link to that after, unless Stefan has an issue with that. But it's not my group. Yeah. It's not my group. I'm not.
I join a lot of these, and I think in a lot of these groups, what a lot of value you can get is when people start bragging about past deals, because if it's dead, they feel like there's no value to them. They might talk a little bit more, reminisce, but if you can learn about a dead deal, that can help you piece together how you would find a live deal, because the methods and methodology, the thinking, what to be aware for, a lot of that can help you. And that's one way that, there's Miles Per Day is a blog. Vin, he does these dead deal posts that people criticize. It's like, why don't you tell us the live deal? And it's like,
they're not always dead.
Well, yeah. And that's also true. And deals can come back too. So it's worth learning through that process, I think.
For sure. I used to be of the opinion that it was safe to share dead deals. Mm-hmm. I no longer hold that opinion, in that dead deals do come back, in different iterations or exact replicas. That one of the craziest things I will say about this hobby is the most lucrative things that I've partaken in. Or I don't know the English way to say it, but I don't know any other languages anyway. So I don't know why I clarified English, but nonetheless, some of the most valuable deals I've participated in have been hiding in plain sight. That's one thing that I think is really important to think about. Is look, there's obviously the fact that there's known unknowns. I don't know every deal. You don't know every deal, but I've seen a lot of really valuable plays that were just there, and it's one or two clicks away from you, and you just got to have your thinking cap on. There's so many people in the manufactured spend space who think I'm just going to sit here and wait for someone to tell me what to do. And I want someone to give me the 1, 2, 3, 4 guidelines. This is how you do it. And you're going to be waiting a long time, generally speaking, if that's your practice. Try to make value for yourself. Stefan, you know those games, right, where you see someone like will turn a paperclip into like a brand new iPad, right? Like they'll you know what I'm saying? Like they trade up, like they'll trade a paperclip for a pen for something that's worth a little bit more than a pen, and they get their way to something that is extremely valuable, and that's in a way, I think, an appropriate way to look at manufactured spending is you want to develop that network, and you want to be able to provide value to people who can provide value to you. And
steak dinners, right? You've got to do the steak dinners.
Yeah, I've been offered steak dinners before.
I think you've offered steak dinners, if I recall.
There was one time, yeah. So what Stefan's alluding to is there was a time where I offered a friend a steak dinner. Well, he wasn't a friend yet, but it was someone who I had recently met. I was what they call a noob. And I had offered him a steak dinner in exchange for, talking shop, right? Talking turkey, whatever you want to say. And he's like, no offense, I don't eat steak. Also, a steak dinner won't cut it. Yeah, like you also don't want to be, sort of a mercenary either. I've developed like legitimately good friends in this hobby. And just like being likable is a huge plus, right? Like, people want to help people who they like. And I know that seems really common sense. But like at the end of the day, like there's so many people who are trying to find the next big play. And like, you need to find your bread and butter, whatever that is, whether it's flues or whether it's money orders. You'd be surprised. The money order game has made millionaires, literally just pounding them out, day after day, week after week. And that's something that, any Walmart has, right? And there's other places where you can liquidate, you can liquidate. I'm not going to say it here, but
all right, you've said too much. We're cutting you off here.
But yeah, I mean, look, we
really are cutting you off. You're done, buddy. You're at time. We've got the deals. It's great. I mean, Zach's a tremendous friend and resource. He's an example of somebody that, effective networking, useful networking, adding value to people has made him into this whale in the term. So thank you for joining us today, Zach.
You're gonna have to mute my mic.
You're out of here. All right, we've got Lee Huffman joining. He's going to give us a quick take on a very cool deal. He's got the best. This is a not virtual background. Tell us about your awesome background, and I'll queue up your exhibit while you
Sure. So every time I walk into my office, this gives me inspiration to be able to book the next vacation and create the next memories with my family. So basically what I did, I just went to Staples, printed out a bunch of color copies, and got little stickies from Amazon, and just pasted them up on the wall. So it's an amazing thing to every day I walk into my office and I see these, and it just warms my heart every time I walk in the office versus staring at a blank computer screen,
So give us the rapid fire take. I've always been tempted by Ambassador, and every year I've said this doesn't make sense for me. Does it make sense for me this year for 2021?
Sure. And in the past, Ambassador really wasn't something that was attractive to a lot of people because the benefits were specifically tailored towards people that stayed at intercontinental hotels. So if you stay at Kimpton like I do, Kimpton's my favorite hotel. And any of the other brands in IHG, you didn't get a lot of benefits, but they've been expanding the benefits and providing a lot of extra value. So, a lot of people, really like Hyatt and Hilton and Marriott, and those are great programs, but don't sleep on IHG. IHG is in the process of revamping their loyalty program, and they would have actually probably introduced the revamp this year, but COVID everything else getting in the way. So look forward in either 2021 or 2022, a whole new program, a lot of new benefits, different tiers coming out. And so now is really the time to start building your loyalty with IHG to be able to take advantage of those and kind of get a head start on everybody else that when they see this new program that's coming out, they're going to be trying to jump onto the IHG bandwagon. So with IHG Ambassador, essentially you can either get it with $200 or 40,000 IHG points. This is not something you can earn no matter how many times you stay at a IHG property, no matter how much you spend on the credit card, anything like that. You're not going to be able to earn this status. It's either pay or redeem points. When you can either do it online or at a hotel. But when you do pay the $200, get one of your credit cards that gives you a like reimbursement for travel expenses, or the IHG card, or a card that gives you extra points for travel expenses, because this $200 does actually code as travel, counts as a hotel expense. It's a good option. Like say if you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Altitude, or Prestige, use those points, use those annual travel credits to be able to basically reimburse yourself for it. You can redeem 40,000 points for it, but personally, I would kind of recommend going against that, because if you have the IHG credit card, you get the fourth night free whenever you're redeeming points for your stay. So those points have a lot more value than that $200. Now, when you redeem for the Ambassador membership, it includes a lot of really tremendous benefits. First off, you get a lot of benefits when you stay at Intercontinental hotels. Right now, through the end of 2021, you also get those benefits at Regent hotels. Every year that you are a member, you get something called the buy one, get one free. So whenever you stay at an Intercontinental hotel, you on the weekends, basically you pay for one night, you get the second night for free. But this year, actually about a month or 2 months ago, they actually extended that benefit. So if you're staying at a Kimpton or a Regent, any night of the week, it's not just related to the weekends, any night of the week, if you stay and pay through the Ambassador promo rate, essentially you get the second night for free. So this is a one-time per year, so it's not like something you could do on a regular basis, but just that one night alone could make that $200 be much more valuable.
We've got a question, Lee. John Nomas, coach. Does the $200 count towards the Intercontinental IHG Amex offer?
Yeah, I mean, it would, basically, because it counts as a travel expense. It's basically just like as if you're paying for a hotel room. So it codes as travel as a hotel expense.
Fantastic.
So,
all right. Awesome.
Basically, when you become an ambassador, you automatically get IHG Platinum, which is the same status level you get as if you had the IHG Premier credit card. But then right now, between now and November 15th, so if you sign up, whether you're signing up new or if you're already an existing ambassador and you're renewing your membership, you actually get one free night after your first completed stay. So I'm already an IHG member, ambassador member. Mine doesn't expire until like February. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to renew mine, but probably sometime in early November, I'm going to sign my wife up for it. That way we get that extra free night, and I can use the spend on my credit card. So to me, essentially, with them extending the benefits to Regents, extending the buy one get one free promo to Kimpton and to Regent, this is really kind of like a sign of things to come. You know, we're slowly expanding into combining these programs, combining the benefits, having the benefits kind of go across different brands. And so really, this is kind of like a precursor of what you're going to get going into the new revamp in 2021 or 2022. As an ambassador, when you stay at Intercontinentals and Regents, you get 4 p.m. late checkouts. You get a bottle of water every day. You get free Wi-Fi, a $20 credit to be able to use the dining at the bar or in the mini bar in your room. And then if you're staying in China, you actually get breakfast every day. So a lot of really great benefits. What I would do with it, I would do it this way. Say if you want like a longer vacation, right? We're all like stuck at home. We all just kind of need to get away. Some of us maybe feel a bit more comfortable traveling, or some of us, maybe you want to wait till next year to start traveling. But this is how I would really take advantage of the promo. Essentially, you're going to combine the buy one get one free promo and the fourth night free from the IHG Premier credit card. So you're going to basically, depending upon the rates, right? So you can kind of shuffle the dates back and forth. But essentially, you're going to buy one night. You're going to get the second night for free. Then you're going to use points for 3 nights and get the fourth night free. So basically, you get a 7-day, 6-night vacation for which includes basically you pay for one night with cash. You get 3 nights that you paid with points, and then you get 2 nights free. So that's just an awesome way to be able to redeem this. And then when you're done with all that, then you get another free night that's worth up to 40,000 points. It's basically the same thing as like the credit card free night. So it's a really killer deal. $200, and you're going to get a lot of value out of it.
I think you've almost sold me. That's a wonderful quick take. Thank you for joining us, Lee Huffman from Bald Thoughts. We've got raffle ticket time, virtual raffle tickets. Thank you, Lee.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And we've got Sharon. Take it away, your usual quick pitch.
Hey, everybody.
And somebody's photo bombing you, by the way. We've got an uninvited guest coming, so he might interrupt you. But go ahead, Sharon.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It's great to see you virtually. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I'm sorry we all can't be there in person to give hugs and all that kind of stuff. And for you guys, oh my gosh, hey, how are you? I've been photo bombed. It's so good to see you. Can you see me?
Randy,
Anyway.
have we got you on audio?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? Okay, I can't hear him, but.
Randy,
So
we're having a little
anyway.
issue with the audio. We can see you, but we've got the little challenge with the audio.
For me or for him?
Randy. So Sharon, go ahead. No, I think we got you now, Randy. Go ahead. But Sharon, go ahead.
Hey, Randy, it's great seeing you again. It's been so long. I hope you're doing well. For those of us are on, Randy is the first person I met on Flyer Talk, and he's a wonderful human being, a humanitarian, which also ties into the part of what I'm speaking about. As you know, for the last 10 years, I've been doing get your raffle tickets, get your raffle tickets. I know you guys really want me to be there in person to get your raffle tickets and take your credit card so you can earn many points, hotel points, and airline points and get great prizes, but we're just going to have to do that virtually this year. Just to let you know, your registration fee for this event, however, did go to 4 great charities. You're supporting the Airline Ambassadors, which does humanitarian flights. It's been recognized by Congress and the United Nations to bring children over to the United States or elsewhere for things like life-saving surgery. The Jason Dahl Foundation Fund, which was created in memory of Jason Dahl, the pilot of United 93, which went down in Pennsylvania, and they create scholarships for aspiring pilots. Semper Fi Fund, which provides financial support and assistance to critically injured members of the armed forces from post 9/11 injuries, and UNICEF, which operates in over 190 territories and countries, helping to save children's lives and help them grow to their greatest potential. So thank you so much for registering for this event so that I could see you all virtually and so that you would be supporting great charities. But hey, in memory, in idea of pay it forward, we can't quite do real prizes this year, but here's something that you could potentially do. If you could go to any of those 4 websites for Airline Ambassadors, Jason Dahl Fund, Semper Fi, or UNICEF, donate some money and put in their Chicago Seminar Event Telethon so they'll know where the funds came from. Yeah, you're not going to get a prize, but you're going to get something even better. You're going to get a warm and fuzzy feeling, and next year you'll get I'll give you extra raffle tickets if you can prove to me that you donated this year. Also, if you register on, if you buy anything from Amazon, and who of us doesn't, you can sign up for smile.amazon.com and designate one of those 4 charities as your preferred charity. And then if you're spending money on Amazon, part of the funds will go towards those charities. So that's a great way of doing it. Captain Denny can't be here today, but what he asked me to do was let you know that there's an event. Well, first of all, he told me to tell you hello, and he misses you all. But he told me to let you know that there is an event in Denver. So like where Randy's at next year to raise funds for the Jason Dahl Foundation. And it will be the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And some of the prizes will include time in a flight simulator, which, by the way, I did one with Lufthansa a few years ago. It's really cool. And the good news is I did not crash the plane. So so that's something you can do. And we will be mentioning it on Flyer Talk next year. It's separate from this event, which will be happening at the same time next year. So go to flyertalk.com. And if some of you are on right now and you are not a member of flyer.com, you don't know how much you're missing. If you think you're getting good value at this event, go to Flyer Talk, which Randy, that guy in the other split screen, founded several years ago. And it's literally, I'm not exaggerating, this sounds so hokey, but it's true. changed my life. I have developed so many virtual friends and real life friends, and it's all due to that gentleman right there, Randy with flyertalk.com. Go to flyer.com because it's all the information you get here elsewhere. And next year, I'm going to see you guys at the event. I will be screaming, get your raffle tickets, and I want you to get out those cards and spend as much as you want, and we'll just have a great time, and we'll raise $110,000 to charity. So thank you so much for participating, and I'm just so glad we could get together virtually, and I hope you all have a great time and learn lots.
Thank you, Sharon. That's wonderful. And if you can put those charities links in the comments, Jochen was asking for that. Thank you. We missed the raffle, and
you guys need to teach me how to do the links on the comments.
Go for it. All right. Thank you, Sharon.
Go to the
Randy.
Hey!
I promised some celebrity cameos, and they said it's not you, but it is you. So you're out on the ranch.
Out on the ranch, lovely Colorado.
Everybody, there's so many people that only read Reddit. They don't even know the history of this. So the Godfather appoints.
That was a long time ago, but anyway, hope everybody's having a good day. So what do you want to talk about, Stefan? What do we got going here? And thanks, Sharon. Charity matters.
You're the crystal ball man, and everybody keeps asking loyalty programs in 2021, 2025, 2030. You've got all the wisdom. You've got the ear of the loyalty program heads who were in kindergarten when you started teaching their parents in the program. So 2030, you've got the magic answers.
2030, boy, I tell you, it's tough to get through 2020, but indeed, there's always a future ahead, certainly miles and points. Interestingly enough, all the things you see these days, I really don't see much that's new out there, honestly. I guess when you've been around programs as long as I have. And I started the miles and points stuff back in 1986. So if anybody's watching today, check your birth date and say, 1986? No, what? But true, it's been a long journey and a good journey. 2030. I'm a little surprised so far that more of the hotel groups haven't got into dynamic pricing. So, it's little by little, but when you look at the credit card industry, you look at the kind of the major emphasis on the airline programs. What is it about hotel programs? And there's always a lot of probably differences there because hotels chains don't always own all of the properties. They don't always own all of the pricing mechanisms and everything like that. So they've been an outlier on kind of the trend on dynamic pricing for awards. But probably by 2030, I'm thinking that the entire industry of loyalty is based upon dynamic pricing. So I'll just throw that out there. Other things, I'm really surprised, but it has a lot to do with technology and the adoption of what we used to do. And basically, I'm thinking by 2030, miles should probably become a cryptocurrency by then. I mean, you've seen Bitcoin and some of the other stuff creak in as the alternative currency or another currency. And even the Treasury has some eyes on that. But interestingly enough, for honestly, probably 15 years now, a lot of people have talked about miles as its own currency, and you can't argue with that. I know I think I've got more miles and points than I do real money, so I'm an example, much like most other people out there. But it wouldn't surprise me if by 2030, certainly with technology has been hamper on why it hasn't come full force yet, but I could see miles becoming its own cryptocurrency for some reason out there. Now, I'm not sure what it looks like, but there's a lot of smarter people in the room than me, but it's about its due. And, when you look at how certainly the programs or some programs have mortgaged their frequent flyer programs, there's little doubt that there is a tangible asset, if you will. It's real. It's no longer a plaything. And certainly when I started a few things out there that people always laughed about frequent flyer miles not being real out there. But certainly these days, true. So by 2030, probably dynamic pricing will overtake all the things that we see out there across the miles and points universe, not just most airlines and not just credit card companies, but hotels. And miles will become something in your virtual wallet. And it's really not that far away. And I think there's some people working on it right now that it would be in your Apple wallet for you to just click that card and pay that way. So there's 2030 for you, whether you like it or not. Okay.
Fantastic. And people always ask about your health and hearing. We're talking, you're hearing, you're looking great. You got a haircut. You got to show us the haircut.
You know, this is the shortest hair I've had since probably the 80s, probably even before that, except for one Megadoo. And a lot of my friends out there remember the one Megadoo we did for charity, and we wore pink shirts. I had a short haircut then, but other than that, typically, I don't get many haircuts. I just like to spend my money other ways, if you will. But life's good. Health is great. Hearing I've struggled with. You know, I've only had one business trip in the last probably 5-6 years. But one time I went totally deaf, and you know, hats off to people that struggle with those types of things throughout their whole lives. Luckily for me, I found a good doctor and found somewhat of a solution. But you know, when you can't hear them call you for an upgrade, you know it's time to quit traveling.
That's fantastic, and so upbeat, and when people are back on the road, whatever form that takes. I think you've been to more of the Richard Branson points properties than anyone except Richard Branson. So of those of your travel exploits over the years, are there any ones that people that are sitting on these balances, when they feel safe and it's possible for them, are there any ultimate favorite redemptions that you want to point them to?
Yeah, well, you know, unfortunately, as you get old, like I'm getting old, and you guys stay young, but all of my favorite redemptions are no longer around. I'll name two: Pan Am and TWA. And for some of the old timers, and I know there's some of you watching right now, you remember that TWA reward, and you remember the Pan Am stuff. So, and then I could throw in Latin Pass out there too. So anyway, all the good stuff that I've enjoyed is no longer available, if you will. But that's what happened as time goes on out there. But you know, if I see another time that Gary Leff is going to the Maldives on points, I'm just going to throw it all in. I tell you, I don't know about that Mr. Leff guy, but Maldives is where it's at with him. For me, it's just a place in the ocean. But for him, it's a real thing. So maybe I do want to grow up to be like Gary Leff.
Well, I mean, Gary, I think we need to get you to the Maldives just to get a picture of you with bare feet on the recliner to send Gary, since that's he loves Maldives, but he doesn't like bare feet. So
I could do Corona commercials instead of Snoop Dogg. Now, how would that be, huh?
Oh, that's fantastic, and you know, thanks for your wonderful support and building so much for so many of us in this hobby, and it has changed so many lives, and so much of it traces back to you. What the original Marriott in hotel signups, putting your number on every blank form in the lobby, and getting what they mailed you, hundreds of pages monthly statement.
Hey, I'm the original referral guy, you know, points guy, and all these other dudes out there, they ain't got nothing on me. But you know what? I'm glad to see that the industry is still alive. I'm absolutely tickled to see that there's still people that can determine value in these programs and enjoy what travel's all about. And you know, also I like the segue from Sharon about giving back. That's one thing about frequent flyer community. Most people think we're greedy. All we want is an upgrade and a suite. Not true. We also want to help others out there. And towards that, I'm still giving back through all these years. So Sharon, if you're still listening in, and for you, Stefan, I'm going to donate $1,000 in the name of Flyer Talk, one of my first projects out there. $1,000 I'll donate to the charities that are part of today's seminars, if you will. Thank you, Stefan, for putting it all together. And so $1,000 I'm pledging to still play it forward.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, incredible. And thank you for joining us today. That's incredible, Randy.
All good.
Thank you. Take care.
Giddy up.
We've got Dave Bike Guy popping right in. Speaking of community, thank you, Randy. Back to the ranch and on to Bike Guy.
Hey, Stefan, can you hear me?
We can. All right.
Okay.
So you told us last year about non-revving, and this year you said it's one non-rev to rule them all, and we've got to grapple with that blocked seat. And you've got 5 minutes till takeoff. Let's roll.
Okay. So first of all, very few things make me smile ear to ear, and it's when my friend gifted me his non-rev benefits that happen to be on Delta. I'm like a kid getting free candy all the time. So went to China, went to Colorado, went to Ecuador, and then Corona hit, and not nearly as much fun or as relaxing as it used to be. And right now it gets a little bit more challenging because they can say there's plenty of seats available, but with the middle seat blocked, it's really a challenge. And then there's a certain ratio that I have to look up every time because I don't memorize it, but it's not only is it middle seats, but then there's some other ratio of, I think 40%, which if you're doing middle seats is only 33. So there's more seats blocked than actually just middles. So between that and significantly less flights, a lot of times to get to places that it would have been much easier in the past, it's not nearly as easy. I've done maybe 6 flights since the whole coronavirus thing happened. And I've never had to get any place in a hurry. So I will definitely look and say, I think I'm going today. And then I'll look that morning and go, no, I'm not. And that's kind of the way that just works, is if you really need to get there, then you better buy a ticket. But if you're flexible, you can go to some incredible places. The one thing that made me smile even more than getting the non-rev benefits for Delta was I found out the non-rev to beat them all. So if somebody is looking to get incredible non-rev benefits, the way to do it would be there's a regional carrier called SkyWest, and they actually fly not only for Delta and American, or Delta and United, like out of Detroit, but then you hit Chicago and they add American, and then they have a bunch of West Coast hubs and they add Alaskan. And so bottom line is, if you work for Delta, you get Delta. If you work for United, you get United. American. But you start to work for some regional places, you may get it on all 4. And then where that gets really interesting is normally you would gift to your wife or your significant other or whatever. But in the case of Southwest, you actually have 4 different people that you could, in theory, specify for the different airlines. So for example, one of my friends works for Southwest. His sister gets one. His girlfriend gets, I think his sister gets United. His girlfriend gets Delta because she's in a city that can get her in to see him better on Delta. So I just think it just made me really smile when I heard about the whole SkyWest regional carrier and how many different people they're flying for.
So that's the one non-rev to rule them all. And I mean, recap. I mean, that just seems incredible to me. And this.
Right. Yeah. So the challenge would be, though, they're just not in that many hubs. So I mean, if you are going to become a flight attendant or become a pilot, man, there's a lot of power to doing it for them when the jobs come back in the industry. And it could be, you could be in HR, you could be anything for them, and you're going to have all these different flavors, and you're flying, oh, Delta doesn't have availability. How about American? How about United? How about Alaskan? So I really think that's my goal is to fly for a regional carrier, and my goal is to fly for SkyWest. And not necessarily only for that reason, but that certainly is one of the reasons that's going to help push me toward flying for them in the future.
Fantastic. And Ann Arbor Art Fair due next year. Is it going to happen? What's your prediction? In person.
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's, it's just all, is there going to be a vaccine or not? I really can't see asking people that I care about and I think are, that I would hate to see get sick. And I just can't see having it live unless there's a vaccine out and people are very comfortable coming. It just, and one of the things about Ann Arbor is it's a college town. So I have a daughter that's chosen to live in a house on campus with 7 other college women that have differing views of what is safe and what isn't safe as far as parties and things like that, and how many people are allowed in a room and whether masks are really required when you're drinking. So yeah, I'm more on the keep everybody safe, and I'd much rather have it remotely unless there's a vaccine in place. So if there is a vaccine in place, it'll be a yes, and if there isn't, I can't see having it live in person.
Okay, and for updates, follow Flyer Talk, search for Ann Arbor Art Fair due. It's a wonderful event that Dave, he's known as Bike Guy on Flyer Talk, arranges that. And thank you for joining today. That's very cool.
Yeah, and if you're interested in more up-to-date information on Ann Arbor Art Fair due, there's actually an Ann Arbor Art Fair due Facebook page that pretty much you'll hear whether things are going on or not. There's less updates on Flyer Talk than there is on that Ann Arbor Art Fair due page.
And you share all the MS deals there, so everybody has to join and get the get the secrets
all the time.
All right, thank you for joining today, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
And we are joined now from Germany by Henning. Welcome,
Good evening
sir.
from Germany. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course. And you said you wanted to cover a lot in a very short space, but you can talk quickly. So I'm going to put your samples on the slide, and we are going to go as fast as we can. You've got some awesome stuff.
Perfect. So first, let me say that I appreciate the video conference because I don't have to fly over the Atlantic in economy class this year to Chicago. And the second one, the people can't throw things in my direction if I'm just on a video screen. So you see the picture from, this is a German high-speed train, the ICE. I know it's called Flyer Talk and not Train Talk or so, but this year is a bit different, and so I want to talk just a bit. So maybe the next picture. So normally I like traveling to the United States in summer to drive a bit through the national parks and so. In the background, you see this is a Red Cathedral in the Death Valley National Park. But this summer, on the left picture, you see the Elbe Sandstone Mountains. This is a German national park close to Dresden. And on the right picture, this is the Moselle River with the Wine Mountains and the castle in front. So it was also very nice, a bit different, but that's okay. And so the next slide. Yes, we have a patchwork of rules for international flights, no stable flight plans, and yes, and I think it's very difficult to plan more than 4 weeks. The laws and rules, they change every few days, every few weeks, and you have great financial risks also for your miles and especially for the tickets. So last year, Lufthansa was a flying bank, for example, and they had 5 billion euro cash, and this year they got 10 billion euro from the German government, and the German taxpayers now, they hope that they will pay the money back one day. And so the first thing I recommend is travel domestic, and the United States are a great country, so don't travel the hard way. Yes, and the second one, at the moment, I prefer cash. The reason is very simple. If the travel industry will reboot, then there will be a lot of great offers. And also at the moment, we have great offers from the hotels and the airlines. The hotels, they all need cash. And if you have a lot of miles, I'm not sure if you can get the flights you want, if you have the availability and so on. Yes, I always say if one door closes, another door will open. And this year, Italy and Greece, they were very easy to travel this summer. And so I took a low coster for $50 for a return flight. It was a bit tricky, but the problem was my wife. So we waited at the gate and she asked me, oh, why we are waiting at the gate? Where is the lounge? And I said, well, I told you we will fly with the low coster. And she said, yes, but where is the lounge? Okay, but it was a great holiday. So, but the situation, I think it's not so bad because many airlines, many hotels, they were very, very generous. Marriott Bonvoy, they came in April and they said, okay, we extend your status for 1 year, or Turkish Airlines. They extended it for 1.5 years, and at the moment you have really great offers from the hotels. You can sleep very, very cheap. And
yeah, we heard about Ambassador promotion, and then later on, Win is going to tell us about Hyatt. So there are some great ones back.
Yeah, they are happy for every guest, I think, at the moment. And so this year, no stupid tier runs necessary. So I don't have to fly to Australia and back just for a few tier miles. And also, if you want to reach a status, the fast tracks are still open. So that's a great year. And I think the fruits, the cherries are hanging very low at the moment, and just pick them. And for example, Qatar Airways, they had a status match offer this year in May, and they gave me the Platinum. That's the One World Emerald, the highest tier level, for 1 year for free. And that's really great. And so read the forums, read the blogs, have your small network, and change the offers. So sharing is caring, and there are great offers, and use them. And I want to give you one other example. So Marriott Bonvoy, they had the promotion, 2,500 extra points for each stay. And last week I was in the Moxie Berlin. Moxie is like Holiday Inn Express or so, not very great, but it was okay. For $74 for a hotel room in Berlin, in the German capital, including breakfast. I took this picture. I don't know what the meaning of the text of the seat cushion. I woke up like this, so it seems they are not very convinced of the quality of their beds, but I got 5,000 points for 1 night stay. And on the NES, you can say what you can do with the points. So when we were this summer at the Moselle River, so Castle Lisa from Autograph Collections, it's also Marriott Bonvoy. It's a completely remodeled former castle. That's a great hotel. You can book this for 15,000 up to 20,000 points for a free night. That's really great value. So just an example. So in my opinion, for traveling, it's a great year if you use the offers. And this is what I want to say in these 5 minutes. I took this picture this year in Santorini. This is the red beach in the background. And we can't choose from which direction the wind is blowing, but we can set the sails. And sailboat can also sail against the wind. And so I hope to see you all next year in Chicago. And thank you very much. And maybe next year I hope to get a bit more than 5 minutes. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you, sir. That was very efficient. I appreciate that. And thank you for joining us today. That was incredible and a great dose of humor. Thank you, Henning. And we do hope you can make that transatlantic flight and you're able to join us in person next year. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And we have got the Marty and JJ show. Oh my goodness. They are on the way. They're joining in. And these guys, I think I have to go off screen. It's like we're putting on the power with this unleash the force of Marty and JJ. And so we've got one guy U-hauling across the country. We've got another renovating a home. We've got a rental car company that they put into bankruptcy by their own efforts. And, when the story of the Hertz collapse is going to be written, It's gonna be one of those Michael Lewis pieces. He's gonna trace it back to that celebration Million Mile cake in Las Vegas they presented to JJ.
So hey JJ, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Marty. It's good to see you. It's been about a year here, but it's been a big year for both of us. Yeah, it's crazy.
And we live in the same town, and I haven't seen you in a year, and you missed quite an exciting event last year in Chicago. It'll be awful hard for me to top proposing to Sandy on a quick little video chat with you.
It seems like this time every year we have big things going on, because you obviously did that last year to make a splash. The year before that, you and I were speaking. We did that was right in the heart of the Hertz United promotion. We both walked away from that thing with about 3 million miles.
Yeah, as Zach said, we keep hoping that dead promotions come back to life. Please, United and Hertz, if you pray, maybe one day they'll bring back the summer of fun that lasted 2 years.
Oh, that was an amazing promo, and I do miss that. But it's been a year here since we've seen each other, even though we're in the same town. But we've both had a pretty big year, and so I think that's kind of something we wanted to get into today. So I mean, do you want to give us a little rundown on what you've done here? Obviously, with the proposal a year ago.
All right. So about a year and a half ago, Sandy and I started talking about moving out of the country. And she made it very clear to me that she wouldn't move to Israel with me unless there was a ring on her finger. So I kept promising her a surprise. And well, that ultimately happened last October. In preparation for that, in March, we sold our house and we've been renting a room, as you just saw my roommates walking by and photobombing us. And we do plan to move before Thanksgiving, but we're probably actually going to move just after Thanksgiving, since we're going to have a forced quarantine in Israel anyway. So part of that move is we need to schlep our stuff to New Jersey or New York in preparation for putting it on the container ship to Israel. I had a buddy simultaneously who got a job in New Jersey, and he needed to move his stuff. So we priced out movers, and it was over $10,000. So we looked at U-Haul next, and they wanted $3,000 to rent from Las Vegas. So like any good travel hacker, what we did was start exploring. And 50 miles from Las Vegas is a small town called Pahrump. Now, Pahrump is famous for their wineries and, well, something else that you all on the chat can Google and we won't talk about here because it's not safe for work. Rentals in Pahrump were $800. And guess what? U-Haul has this handy feature on their website that lets you search up to a 50-mile radius from Pahrump. And 50 miles from Pahrump is, guess what, Las Vegas. So we were able to hack down our $3,000 U-Haul down to $800. That was fantastic. Now, 2 weeks before our trip, U-Haul started texting me, offering us money to haul other people's stuff. So make sure if you ever rent a U-Haul that you sign up for that. We were offered $1,000 to bring somebody's stuff with us, and we missed it because we texted 20 minutes too late. Now, when you're moving, there is one huge expense of driving a big old 26-foot truck that you see there, the gas. Many of you utilize Shell fuel rewards, and that worked really well for us in places where there was not a Kroger. Let's go to photo 2, Stefan. This is my buddy Ben and I as we're posing in front. That was not my buddy. There we are. That's my buddy Ben and I, who's tuning in right now as we're posing in front of our 26-foot monstrosity. So one of the things that we did to minimize our fuel expense was we had a buddy who gifted me access, or whatever you want to say. I got a lot of Kroger points. So a 60-gallon fuel tank at 89 cents a gallon isn't such a bad deal. So we were able to route our entire
Richard
trip.
Richard Kerr pays 9 cents.
Yes, unfortunately. And we know of people who filled up a tanker truck in places where they could. But unfortunately, we were limited to $1 a gallon off where we were and a maximum of 30 gallons per fill-up. So we would just do 2 fill-ups. Many of you will know, I'm famous for my legroom photos. So outside of Albuquerque, I needed a quick nap, and I was able to stretch out across the area, across the front seats of the car. And we dropped off our stuff. This is my stuff. It was less than a 10 by 10 on the storage unit. One other thing you heard from Dave about hacking airlines for your savings. I want to tell you how we all hacked our hotels. Go get yourself a spouse and have them work for one of the major hotel companies. I want to thank Sandy for working for Hilton, because Hilton employee rate, there's Sandy. Hilton employee rate was very nice across the country. So that's a little brief about my U-Haul experience. We are actually scheduled to bring our car to Jersey in about 3 weeks after our wedding. And I'm thinking about reserving a U-Haul to tow my car, just in case they want to pay me $1,000 to drive across the country. So JJ, what's going on with you? What's these big plans you've had going on?
It's been a wild 2020 for all of us, and for me, my story is a home renovation. I know earlier Howie was talking about the home renovation that he's been doing. I mean, a house that was built in what was it, 1873, and he spent 18 months doing it. My story is completely different. So obviously, we all been working at home lately, and so my wife and I, we've sitting around the house, starting to think about some different things that we wanted to do, and the list started to grow. And the next thing we knew, we were all right. We're going to kind of do a bit of a renovation here while we're spending more time at home. I talked to a buddy of mine, and he gave me the bright idea to throw in an application for the Property Brothers. They were actually casting in Las Vegas, and if you remember me from the Chicago seminars a couple years ago, I'm the really tall guy in the game. I'm about 6'10". And so and my wife is 6'4", and so we sort of took the angle of, hey, we want the Property Brothers to come in and supersize our house. We put in our application, and sure enough, they chose us for the show. So we are currently in the middle of production. I've been out of my house now for about 2 months, just being a nomad, traveling around. So I'll get into some of the things we did with that. And so I can't show any pictures. I don't have any visuals like you had there, Marty, because I'm still under a non-disclosure on what the house is going to look like. But hopefully by this time next year, you'll all have seen me on HGTV and get a look at what my supersized house is going to look like. Lots of travel cool things they're doing in there as well. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the house to see what that's going to look like. But it's been an awesome opportunity to earn a ton of points as well. City has sort of become my workhorse this year. And I think, thank you points are sort of the redheaded stepchild of the credit card currencies. But they've been amazing to me this year. And so, I've really leveraged that a lot. So the first big one for me was the AT&T Access More. Unfortunately, I don't think we can get that card anymore, but I called them, got a great retention offer. They gave me an additional 2 points per dollar, up to 35,000 points. That card earns 3 times points on online purchases. And so I bought myself about 6,000 pounds of flooring through Costco, earned 5 times points on that. So that was a nice chunk of points. And then the City Prestige card just rolled out this 5 times points on online purchases. It's capped at $1,500, but that's another nice chunk of points there. And then the Double Cash. The Double Cash has become my workhorse for a lot of our expenses. And so we actually have 3 Double Cash cards in the house. We had a whole bunch of American Airlines credit cards. People remember how that happened. And so downgraded a few of those to Double Cash cards. And so my city balance has been pretty robust here this year. Unfortunately, there was a lot of stuff I couldn't pay for that runs through the show, but in the gamer spirit, I got them to definitely let me put as many expenses as I could on my credit cards. So that's been great. And what it's meant is I've been homeless for the last 8 weeks here and been bouncing around. And I know I won't get into the Hyatt promos, but Hyatt has been absolutely phenomenal. I know that that segment is coming up here, but between the Privé third night free, the points back, the 25% rebate on the redemption bookings, it's been great. So I think I've been in 12 different places over the last 8 weeks. Been to Mexico twice. We were in Cancun and Cabo. We've been down to Sedona, went to Miraval in Tucson. This clearly is not Las Vegas behind me. I'm in beautiful Durango, Colorado right now. And so, yeah, we've, really been fortunate with all of these different promos that these different companies are running. And I wish I could tell you more about the home renovation right now, but that's going to have to wait until next year.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it next year. And there's a lot of chatter about tall guys and points, but I'm guessing you don't have people refer to you as JJ himself. So there's you're our tall guy. Thank you guys for joining us, and we have got Apple's guy appearing now.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone. From Motown. All right. This is an apple. Oops. This is an apple. It's just an apple. It's not another way to divide us. It's not about politics, even though it's red. It's a nutritional device. You don't have to inject it like bleach. You just have to eat it. It's an internal disease prevention device. It comes from the Franklin Cider Mill in Franklin, Michigan. The morning of the conference start, I go to the Franklin Cider Mill and get usually 5 or 6 bushels of apples, whatever Howie assigns me. I drive all the way on I-94 to Chicago from Detroit. My first stop when I get to Chicago is Binny's, the liquor superstore, and then I come to the Holiday Inn. This apple is good to eat on airplanes. And remember, it's just an apple. Even though it's red, it's not a political statement. And in October 2021, it will still be an apple, but hopefully you'll be able to eat it. So thanks to Stefan for putting this whole thing together. And I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to watch the rest of the conference. So everybody stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark. Wonderful. We want those apples. Thank you for the virtual apples. Take care. All right. And now that you've got your brain food, you've got our apples tradition. This is the only person I'm going to allow to screen share. He an expert in so much. Tom Carnevale, take it away.
Hi, Stefan, and thanks for letting me talk. I guess you could say I'm the nerdy speaker for today. I like to talk about just organizing things with Excel. Almost everything in my life, like I find a way to, let's create a spreadsheet for that. I've been coming to the seminars a few years now, and I just feel like something we don't talk about is organizing all your miles, figuring out what they're worth so you can make decisions on like what card I'm going to spend with, what points I'm going to use for this redemption, and keeping track of like your long-term goals. So walking through this spreadsheet here, you can see my screen, right, Stefan?
Yep, we can.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So going from left to right, I keep track of how many both transferable currencies I have and cash back, deciding, I want to use my Bank of America or Discover cash back on something, and also maintaining a valuation for that. Same thing with the airline miles and hotel points. And also keeping track of how many free night certificates I have. So I can decide, I have 7 free night certificates in total. Let's go somewhere and use 3 nights with IHG, 3 nights with Marriott, 1 night with Hilton. So it's good for that. Also, just to give a walkthrough of some of these Excel formulas, people always ask me about Excel. Seems like it's this foreign, super complicated concept, but you can do some pretty simple calculations in it. So for instance, if you have 200,000 Amex points, you value them at 1.5 cents each, you can write this simple formula and just get the dollar value for that. I actually uploaded the spreadsheet up to Google Drive, so you can download it and customize it for yourself. So if you just go to this bit.ly that's in the top left-hand corner, Chicago Seminar Spreadsheet, you can go and create your own and plug in your own numbers here. If you hover over the different cells, you can see which ones are formulas and which ones are hard values. So for instance, the mileage balance, that is, a hard number, but this one would be a formula. A lot of these that compute the value are formulas. The other cool thing about Excel is they usually have 3 or 4 different ways to do just about anything. So for instance, the totals, you can write like a sum formula like this, or you can write a subtotal formula that actually does exactly the same thing. It's just slightly different syntax. So you can also use this, to learn for work. And see, well, why did someone use this subtotal formula here versus use a sum formula? There are some cases we won't get into today to use one over the other, but this just gives you some of the samples. The other formula that confuses a lot of people that I get questions about is the sum ifs formula. So what this formula does here is it says, okay, I want to have 50,000 miles to use on Star Alliance for a last minute first class ticket. I believe it's United and Aeroplan. They let you use 50,000 miles for a round trip saver ticket in first class. So I always want to have 50,000 miles in a Star Alliance airline for that. So this formula here, just to kind of step through it, it checks to see, okay, am I looking for a Star Alliance, which for the case of this row, I am. And then it goes and it sums column J, so this first part here, and it's checking column I, which is the program column here, and it's seeing, do I have enough of miles? And here I have 190,000 miles with Star Alliance. So finally going to the bottom part here, I like to keep track of my redemptions. I haven't been doing that great of a job on it. I had to throw a few in there, but this just gives you a good template to work with for tracking both the cash price, the redemption, and something I like to do is have what's called a realistic price. So earlier this year, we redeemed 2 One World J tickets for Rome to Philadelphia. American was asking $12,000 for that ticket. I never would pay $12,000 for American Airlines, but it was still a good redemption. I went ahead and valued that at $2,500. So that gives us both a cents per point and what I call realistic cents per point. So using the $12,000 price, we got 10 cents per point, which obviously is a great valuation. But even using the $2,500 price, it was still 2.2 cents per point. So I kind of use that to decide when I'm putting spend on a credit card, which one should I use and what's the realistic cents per point I'm going to get on them. The other thing that's useful in Excel that confuses a lot of people is pivot tables. So I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of, let's say I wanted to see for Delta how many points I've used up and what the cash price was. Now, obviously, I have multiple rows here for Delta, so I can easily insert a pivot table. First, I select this whole table here, and I want to go to Insert and Pivot Table, and I hit OK. And now I have this confusing little box that my boss likes to ask me about at work, like, how did you do that so easily? So first you have to ask yourself, what do I want to group it by? So we said we wanted to know for Delta, how many points have I used up? So first I click here, airline/hotel. I can obviously see all the airlines and hotels here. So first I'm gonna go and jump in here and just hit Delta. And I want to know the cash price. And now it summed up the total cash price. And now I want to see how many points I used up. So I used 300,000 points. And then the only tricky thing with pivot tables is, let's say if I dragged cents per point in here, it's going to give me a misleading number. So that clearly isn't 12 cents per point, because what the pivot table is doing is it's just summing up every row that's here. So for things like cents per point, we want to put a calculation off to the side. So the way I would do this is put CPP right here and divide it out. So get that, divide it by that. And Excel automatically puts in this get pivot data formula for me. I didn't write any of that. I just did it spontaneously. And now I can see, okay, I've been getting 1.5 cents per point. And another good Excel trick that you might have seen me do quickly here is I have this really ugly decimal here, or I think it first. Oh, here we do. I think it was in currency format, and I'm like, well, I don't want that in currency. I want it like a number. So you can do Control-Shift-1, and it switches it from currency to a number. So same thing, if I want to switch it to currency, I do Control-Shift-4, and it puts a $ in front of it. The way I remember that is on your keyboard, the 4 has the $. So if I wanted it as a percentage, you do Control-Shift-5. That's so now I can see kind of like a percentage cash back if I was looking for to see what my return would be on a Delta credit card. It's fair to say, okay, if it's 1 cent per mile, I'd get 1.5%. Now, during this grocery promo, they were doing 4x cents per point. So I might get 4 and say 4 times 1 plus this guy. Oh. Oh, it's actually, I just want to add in that case. Oh, well, this actually should be 0.04. There we go. So you can do a simple addition like this to get, okay, it's going to return 5.5% on spend. The last thing I want to talk about, I got 3 minutes left, is transfer partners here. So I have a list of all Amex, Citi, Chase, and Marriott Airline hotel transfers. This has filters on it. Filters can be really useful. I'll actually go and remove the filters. So I'll show you how you can apply them. So if you have a list like this, the way I like to do it is you just go all the way across the top here, and you don't actually have to select all the rows. You can just hit filter, and then it lets you go and filter all of these rows. So I can go and see, okay, Aero Mexico, how many transfer partners do they have? What currencies can I use? And it kind of lets you highlight that, hey, some of these are 1 to 1.6. Citi is only 1 to 1. The other thing you can do that's really cool with filters is filter by color. So see here, I highlighted some of these are yellow. Those are kind of my main programs that I care about. So you can go and filter by color, and just like that, you can easily get to all those selected airlines. So yeah, pretty cool stuff, if you ask me, and hopefully it will be of some help to you. And once again, the link to the spreadsheet is just bit.ly/Chicago Seminars spreadsheet.
Oh, fantastic, and perfectly on time. That is wonderful.
Great.
And thank you. And I've added the link directly in the comments for those that want to pull it up. That's very generous of you, and I think the organization is incredibly important. Tell us a little bit about yourself in parting. You've got 1 bonus minute.
Oh yeah.
So I know you from a seminar you generously offered on very early on a weekend morning for me on some of the investing stuff you do. And that's really all I know about you.
Yeah, well, I run so I was in a lot of points and miles groups, and we were talking about stocks, and I was like, well, we should start a stock chat group. So it's grown to about 100 people. We do a lot of joking around and stuff like that. But I have a lot of experience with kind of financial reporting. I work for a company called AgriService. They are in the agriculture space, but I report to our CFO. So I do a lot of Excel reports every day, Power BI. I've been doing that for about 8 years now. And I actually moved across the country last year from the Boston area to Washington State. So I'm in Eastern Washington, and points of miles have been a godsend to me. I was traveling out here to visit my girlfriend, now my wife, and it probably saved me. I added up on the spreadsheet. It was about $12,000 in travel expenses for all the cross-country flights and hotel stays. I quickly got caught up to speed, like when to use IHG points versus Hilton points. Stacking all of the IHG credit cards is one of the best things I've done. I have both the old IHG card and the current one. So I get like the 4th night free plus 10% back, I think the old one gives you. So I've always been active participant in this hobby. I'm glad I can add something in the talk to my Excel skills. And I don't have the most glamorous redemptions in the world. We did plan a big Europe trip for this summer that ended up getting canceled, but hopefully more and more in the years coming forward, we'll have some more trip reports to talk about, and rather than 5-night stays at a Hampton Inn in Washington State. So yeah.
All right, and I think for those that it's wonderful, just troubleshooting for. I think YouTube may be hiding the link because it's a shortened link. So again, it's bit.ly, so bit.ly/Chicago Seminars spreadsheet. And,
yeah, it's a really long Google Docs link. I didn't want to share that big one, so yeah.
Yep. And we'll share it in the Facebook group for attendees, as well as anybody that wants to is having trouble finding it. You can reply to the email where you got the registration, and I believe that should pop back to me, so I can get you that link as well. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for joining. It's wonderful that when I put a message somewhere that this was planning, you just popped in and said I would like to do something, and that's incredible. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, we have got some dynamos coming on. All right.
Hi.
We have got Tiffany of 1 Mile at a Time, and we've got a familiar attendee face who has also raised his hand to join in. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Dennis, and I've attended, I think, 7 Chicago seminars with my mother, Marilyn, who many of you may have met. And part of the reason I'm with this 3-person group for this talk is she passed away in July, and I'm busy handling, finding, overseeing many of her 2.3 million miles and points that she left behind. And I'm happy to join this talk, Stefan. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and both of your presence at the events has been wonderful, and we had hoped to have both of you speaking today, and I know she had planned in person as well for this year and was still planning. So certainly our condolences to you, and I was connecting the dots with what you're talking about, as well as Tiffany earlier this year put up a very, very timely post about estate planning and your miles, and I thought, oh, this is a perfect non-controversial topic for this event. And then she said that was the most controversial post of the year. And I had to go back to the comments and try to figure out. But it is a very relevant thing for all of us. It's I think one of the big downsides for this hobby is we make our lives incredibly complicated, and we're not necessarily good at communicating it or making it accessible. Should family members need to get involved suddenly.
Sure.
Right. And that's the, I don't know, Dennis, if you're having to deal with this yet, because your mom was so organized just as a person. Generally, every time I talked to her, she had plans and, all the things. But I think that people forget that your miles don't belong to you. They're not your assets. They belong to the programs. And in the terms and conditions of all the programs, it says they're not yours. They're not transferable. And so unlike other things of value or assets, they don't make them easy to transfer upon, your death because they're not yours. So you can't leverage legal instruments to move them from one person to another. So it's a lot of, I think that's the biggest distinction, and people just assume like, oh, I'll just be able to do this. So it's much better to set things up ahead of time to give people access. Certain programs let you do that. Certain programs let you set things up so that you can, merge your points, like Hilton and Hyatt will let you transfer points to anybody. And then you can set up people to have, access or just otherwise use your miles and have access to your accounts.
Most of the hotels, you're right, will let you transfer, Tiffany. And, we're taking our time with that primarily because Mom left 8 free Marriott nights, 2 free IHG nights, points. That's great that they'll transfer. I have my serious doubts, 90% plus, that they're going to transfer those free night certificates.
And they're not.
And Hilton, for what it's worth, they don't even show you on their website how many free Hilton nights you might have. You actually have to call in, verify the account, and then in our case, they said, oh, Marilyn has no free nights that you have to, and obviously when I called in, I did not say that she had passed away. Generally speaking, everybody, that is not in your best interest to do, whether it be hotels, airlines, Fidelity, where she kept most of her assets, same thing. I printed out Fidelity Full View, which listed all her assets, everything she owed, everything she owned, prior to calling Fidelity. And when I did call them, and I'm sure Schwab and Vanguard are the same for all of you, they locked down her account, never to be accessed again. So I was thankful that I printed out that asset list.
Right. So because otherwise, I feel like most people are not organized enough to have, here's all of the account numbers, here's all the pins, here's everything that you might need to get into things. My uncle is still going through things of my grandfather's from when he passed away almost 4 years ago now. And my aunt has been going through things of my grandmother's for almost a decade. And you just find things. It's like, oh my goodness, here's this account at this credit union that no one knew about. And it has, $107 in it because that's the kind of person my grandmother was, where, stashing money everywhere. So I think that's a really good point. There's no benefit really to the heirs to start that cycle of, once you say this person's passed away, you're now on a track that you can't get off. There's no coming back from that. Once you hit those triggers, it's just off you go. And they have processes and policies and procedures, and there's, no saying, oh, actually, never mind, she didn't. We'd like to have access to this account again.
Well, and taking a step back further, given that Mom was a churner and she MS'd also some, thankfully, I've got knowledge in that area, so that helped. But I would ask everybody listening here, your spouse, your partner, some close friend, do they know your password to a Ward wallet? Do they know how you track your points, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a Ward wallet, whether it's something else? For me, that made it a whole lot easier. Access a Ward wallet, access Credit Karma. My brother, who was hanging on to her laptop and her cell phone, by the way, keep that cell phone working for second factor authentication. We were able to access everything. And obviously it's going to take a while, but
I wouldn't have thought about that. Because no one in my life but me has second factor authentication turned on. But to my knowledge, right? But they might have set something up. That's a really good point. Yeah, and I think encouraging people to set up those online accounts in general, right? I don't know, it's one thing to say, okay, make sure somebody has your password to a Ward wallet, but for the other people in your life who aren't as seriously into miles and points, are they set up? Or something like where you're going, because you're the one who's going to get the call if something happens to them, because you're the miles and points person. Like everyone watching, you're the miles and points person in your circle of friends. And so if someone passes away, they're going to call you and be like, how do we get, mom's, dad's, whoever's miles? And you're going to go through these questions. Well, did they have an online access, or were they still getting paper statements from Delta? What's their password? So getting that all set up.
Beyond the normal miles and points, Mom used plastique periodically. Age 84, she was
goodness.
Plastiquing. I don't even do that. But my brother had asked, hey, what is this $1,800 thing that went through this company called Plastic 5 days before she passed? And I was able to look that up and said, oh, that's a property tax payment. Don't worry about that. But, the average person would look at that and think, gosh, how did my 84-year-old mom just get scammed before she passed away or something like that?
Right. And that's what are all these gift cards? Like, is mom getting scammed? And, do the people in your life know that they need to check all those gift cards before they just start purging drawers and cupboards? I don't MS, but that's, I guess, a good reason for people who do to be super organized.
Sure.
And label things.
Stefan, would you say that your spouse is well aware of where to access all your points and miles?
No.
I've
organized
by design.
No, not at all by design. I mean, it's I mean, she's very much, when she needs something, she'll learn it. And so I have printed out prepared documents that I update periodically with all the accounts, all the information, both with her and with my parents. But it is something that, you need to do a password reset in that. And I certainly don't remember every time to make a new set of documents in that. So some passwords are out of date, and I've tried to, get them on shared LastPass, password manager, and that. You mentioned Award Wallet, family accounts. That's a great way I've got to implement. So there's a lot more that I need to do for sure.
I actually don't share any of my accounts with my husband because he's booked like 2 plane tickets in the time that we've known each other since he was 19. But Howie has access to everything. And so Nick knows, like, if something happens to me, he calls Howie. And that's actually what I would recommend. Like, if you are the only person in your family who does miles and points, like, maybe don't leave this on your spouse. Pick someone else, a friend in the hobby or a cousin or someone who you can trust, and be like, this is the miles and points situation. There's going to be enough estate management things to handle, and have like a separate person who can track down some of the, because maybe you have frontier certificates or just like something that's going to fall through the cracks of someone who's just not a subject matter expert with the stuff.
Sure. Well, bigger picture, I would say everybody out there listening, and I had a friend use this phrase, come up with a if I'm eaten by a shark list, and put it behind your will or something like that. Everybody should have a will too, by the way. And
right, that's actually our base assumption. Like, we're assuming you got that far.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're just saying that you just haven't included. Did your mom do anything like that, or you guys just know? You talked about all this stuff really frequently, I know. So
we had talked about it, and she also had forwarded a password list maybe every 6 months or so to my brother and me. And so we had pretty good access, and the passwords that were maybe a little bit out of date, we had our laptop and the cell phone and could easily reset.
I'm curious, Dennis, what was the points travel mistake you got most scolded for and most praised for?
Boy, do I have one that's actually the most praised for. I will say this relates to Mom here. One of her favorite trips, and it got her truly hooked on not just the earning miles and points when you're younger. You tend to earn them to just get to places. Coach is okay, middle seat is okay, but probably 15 years ago when we adopted our youngest child, I wasn't able to go to China. And so she went with my wife, and China's a long way. It was paid and it was business class. We weren't churning then, so this was money out of pocket. And it got her hooked on what it meant to be to not just get from point A to point B, but get from point A to point B in style. And suddenly her churning focus changed from using it just to get there to using it to get there the way she wanted to get there. So I think that was the big plus, and it wasn't even a churning topic that caused it. It was just a trip that caused it. Tiffany, anything stand out for you?
No, I just love that. I think that it's something, we've taken some trips with my in-laws where it was hard to get them to go anywhere. None of my in-laws had ever had a passport or been out of the country until Nick and I moved abroad. And part of the getting them to come and visit us was it's not a miserable, scary experience to fly that far in an airplane. Like, we can make it so much better for you and so much more comfortable. Like, you just gotta trust me a little bit with your dates and your wiggle room. Like, I know you want to leave on Thursday, but you're going to leave on Wednesday, and you're going to have to be fine with that because, then you're getting to fly business class and it's a much better experience.
Sure. Sure. By the way, everybody out there, I will say additionally, when we located Mom's extra credit cards, besides the 3 or 4 that were in her purse, the other 14 or 15 that were in a sleeve in her office, in amongst them were, I think, 6 or 8 authorized user cards for the grandkids, none of which they ever got handed. And we were aware of that, but keep that in mind for your younger relatives. Help them, build that credit early in life. You don't have to give them the credit card.
Right. And it's smart too, because if you have flexible points, Amex, Chase, or whatever, your authorized users can access those points. So you don't even have to do anything complicated with trying to get into Mom's Amex account. If they're authorized users for her membership rewards, they can have those points transferred into their airline accounts as well.
Right.
So even things like that can be a good fail safe.
Well, we're getting surprise guests by someone who would love the organization, the Costanza Wallet.
Hi.
Gary Leff, a view from the wing, popping in.
Hello, Gary.
Yes, well, thank you, Dennis, for sharing. I mean, it's your family's a Chicago seminars tradition of the highest order. So again, our condolences and thank you for sharing with us today.
Oh, thank you, and we hope to see you next year live. Thank you,
live,
everybody.
more live and in person. And thank you for joining as well, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
You're not going away.
Oh, we can hang on. Yeah.
I can stay, except I'm about probably months ago, Gary was like, you should be ordering Thai food for me on Uber Eats every month since you're not using your Uber credits. And it's been like 6 months and I still haven't done that.
Well, Gary would then go into, did you get your gold points account from Radisson or TGI Fridays?
Right. I was just going to text him a picture of my credit card number and move on with my day and be like, here you go. Do whatever you need to do.
No, we're not bringing up Radisson and TGI Fridays gold points because we got Tiffany here and she's going to chastise me that the next thing I'm going to start in on is BMI. So we're gonna leave that be.
How about magazine
subscription? Taking care of you.
We had Randy on earlier. He made a wonderful appearance from the ranch, and I had never known until a few days ago that Gary flew the Concorde courtesy of Randy's magazine business.
Oh, well, look, yeah, I mean, Randy, I think he's still paying that one off. He had this idea that he'd have a sign-up bonus for Inside Flyer magazine. It was 3,500 Starwood Star Points, which the magazine subscription was only $55. And back then you just couldn't generate points quite as easily. So what people started doing was buying large numbers of magazine subscriptions, right? Because
and by people, you mean you.
Well, I wasn't the only person, right? Okay. And of course, I should flag that, I didn't need that many magazine subscriptions myself, but I really thought that every library that I knew of would benefit from having Inside Flyer, right? Which also, made this tax deductible in many cases, lowering your cost basis further. And back then, Qantas actually had a good award chart. I mean, it's many, many devaluations ago. And so, Star Points transferred 1 to 2 into Qantas, right? Plus double the bonus. So 20,000 Star Points was 50,000 Qantas points. And you should double that. And you got enough for a British Airways, first class one way you do, and Concorde the other. Because back then, Qantas British Airways First Awards could book into Concorde. And so about $1,000 worth of Inside Flyers was enough for first class and Concorde. So that's how a lot of frequent flyers had the opportunity to fly the Concorde.
Was it awesome?
No, I mean, yes,
yeah, I mean,
right?
Yes and no.
Right. So from an AvGeek perspective, it's awesome. Crossing the pond in less than half the time was very cool, right? But but think like domestic first class seats. Old United 757 seats, basically, but with fine china and upgraded dining and all that. But you didn't need better for effectively crossing the pond as a midcon.
Right.
So Gary, you're famous for your industry analysis, and blindingly partisan as well. That everybody assumes you have politics that you don't have, but I was
Yeah, it
thinking,
takes real talent to have everybody mad at you all the time,
yeah,
like across the
It just,
spectrum.
yeah, that
Yeah.
just comes natural. I don't think it's talent.
and I was thinking when Delta essentially did an offshore mortgage of their Sky Miles or whatever you want to describe it. I thought back to, Delta was the smartest guys in the room with the refinery deal, and I guess they could have been or not. It at the time it sounded like something that maybe people who didn't know what they were getting into were getting into, and so I'm just curious this whole process and what it means that
Look, I mean, back in the day, Southwest, primarily was making money on fuel hedges rather than flying, right? And then everyone else was losing big money. Oh, Southwest makes money, like we can do it too. And so, United lost $500 million on fuel hedges. And so then the CEO Glenn Tilton at the time complains about all the oil speculators that are hurting their business. Like that's you, right? Delta got into this. And then their vice president of fuel was charged with front running his own trades for the airline, right? So he's pocketing a few $1 million by trading based on the big trades he was going to do for Delta. I mean, Delta thought they couldn't lose; they got big subsidies from Pennsylvania for the refinery, but it sort of depends on the price of fuel. Ultimately, though, frequent flyers miles are a separate and profitable business on their own. We've always said they're really profitable because of the bank deals, but they've hid a lot of the numbers, and so it's only in recent years that both the numbers have really escalated because of consolidation in the industry, where the airlines had a lot more leverage over the banks than they used to, because there weren't as many airlines to bid against. And when American Express lost the Costco deal, right? Because American Express, lost their largest co-brand. They didn't want to lose the second one too. They had to lock that in. They bid up the price, and that set off a chain reaction. And with less competition, these deals get more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. So these multi-billion-dollar deals, future cash, coming into the airline, they were able to borrow, $9 billion. Actually, they could have borrowed more. Delta stopped. Right at $9 billion. They originally said we're going to raise $6.5 billion, right? And there was more demand. It was oversubscribed. They said stop at $9 billion, and it's really just secured off of the future revenue stream of the program. But what's really interesting is how quickly United Mileage Plus has been a separate company for 20 years. Right, like UAL Loyalty Services. Once upon a time, I forget what it's even called now. It was in their recent docs, but Delta had to create a new entity as part of this to own the revenue off the credit card, and then also their intellectual property in order to be secured against this. Now, the crazy thing is, so this shouldn't change anything as far as the program is concerned, because and United raised over $6 billion, and American is raising almost as much, but pledging it to the federal government as collateral for their subsidized CARES Act loan, and assuming that we all keep spending on their credit cards, and consumers do, it'll all be fine. But if that doesn't happen, or if the federal government regulates interchange, right, and then all of a sudden credit cards aren't profitable anymore, then there's a problem. Then they can't pay this back, and then all of a sudden you could have the Department of Treasury owning American Advantage. But I think that actually reduces the likelihood of their regulating interchange, because the consequences would be too bad. Plus,
right, because they nobody wants to be in charge of that program. Right, they're going to look at that and be like, whoa. So just so we understand, if we regulate this, it's a you break it, you buy it situation, and now we're having to manage frequent flyer programs. And
could you imagine? And I mean, we would sort of have
but with Advantage, would it really be different? You've got bean counters in charge. Does it really matter if they're federally appointed or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jerome Powell making the Advantage mile machine go brr, right?
Right, right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you're right, Tiffany. But
I'm just saying it might not be different. I'm not saying it would be good. It's just.
I've always wondered about all these industry analysts, the stock analysts, that unless they're all able to fly private, they're using these programs, and they're always encouraging the airlines to destroy their travel benefits too. And I'm like, would you guys just shut up and let us have a decent frequent flyer program?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like Jamie Baker from Chase, right? He's a concierge key at American, and he's actually the one that first identified that the change in United's pilot contract gave first class to pilots on a confirmed basis for deadheading, ahead of upgrades. And he even in his research note, like a week and a half ago, he actually mocked bloggers that like we hadn't identified that yet, that this was going to affect upgrades, because their release about the change in the pilot deal didn't actually talk about the deadheading in first class for the pilots that they got in exchange for lower minimum hours that allows them to spread it out over more pilots and keep all the pilots on. So some of them actually do know and get into the nitty gritty, right, like Jamie does. But yeah, I mean, it is sort of against interest.
They're probably just buying first, right? And charging it to whatever expense account for whatever.
But when they travel with their families too, right? And it's like this whole thing of you're a valuable customer until you travel with your family for the one trip of the year that really matters to you.
Yeah, I mean, Americans sort of interesting now that you get full elite benefits on basic economy fares, and so it's like the only thing you're really giving up on basic economy is earning status. But nobody is even a member of the program that's flying these days anyway, so I don't know how much that matters.
I've got a few rapid fire industry ones that have puzzled me for a while during the past few months. So I understand hotels, the cost impetus for cutting back on many of the elite benefits, but many like Marriott have had multiple hotels say they're being told don't upgrade people to suites, and I feel like that the marginal cost of an empty unsold suite, I mean, maybe housekeeping gets higher, cleaning. I mean, that's the one that surprised me just from a business and loyalty perspective.
Well, in fairness, what sometimes happens with some of the properties is they'll close off, a number of floors. So occupancy is low, and they want to limit the footprint of the hotel that they're actually using, which does reduce their labor expense for cleaning and whatnot. And so if they, with fewer floors, they'll have fewer suites in inventory. Some of them just also aren't as sophisticated thinking about the program or the implications for their own costs as many of us might be, and so they just have certain prejudices, and they know that. So I don't think it's Marriott isn't telling hotels don't put our elites in suites now. There may be individual hotel managers who it's just making a decision based off of prejudices. It's also sometimes what'll happen is, they're just getting the message that there's not enforcement of the usual brand standards, so we don't have to. And then that gets translated in the, two cups and a string game of telephone with, there aren't benefits.
Yeah. And I feel like many of the airline programs have been very active, and I mean you can pick things positive or negative, but for the most part the US programs have seemed to engage and seem to have known all along exactly what their customers hated about their programs, because they could overnight change them. But
real quick, right?
I'm not a close observer of JetBlue, but it seems like they've been the most quiet, and then even in the past few days with like for Mosaics raising the price of these extra legroom upgrades, it seems like they've been the one that has not put much focus on to what degree the Mosaic program is valuable.
Yeah, I mean, look, JetBlue was somewhat indifferent about even having a loyalty program in the first place when the airline launched, and when they first, launched, they didn't have the Mosaic program. They were a revenue-based program from the start. So somewhat in their DNA is, look, you get what you pay for on JetBlue, and it used to be you got quite a lot, and now the idea is you hopefully get marginally more than other competitors. So it's okay, instead of they squeeze the pitch on the seats, but it's not as bad as United and American. I mean, it's we still have live TV, screens. We haven't taken those out. So it's not quite as bad. So it doesn't surprise me that they haven't leveraged the program. They don't have as lucrative on a per member basis either, a co-brand deal. They have a lot of, smaller business customers, not as many of the corporate contracts. So it's, it's a different business in some sense.
Okay, and wildly popular promotion in the past week, cashing out your Alaska Travel Bank 4 miles. And I'm of the optimistic view that if a large company builds a website page to do something, they intend to use it again in some form or function. Maybe not necessarily at the exact same values or that, but is that something to look forward to reappearing?
Yeah, I don't know actually. I mean, I'm not sure. For instance, because Southwest did this already, not quite as valuable, and they kind of opened it for a long period of time. I don't think they're going to repeat this necessarily. But yeah, I mean, given that this was a very short-term window, it's something that they could do again. I don't know that they're going to do it at as lucrative a price point.
And you're so
Wait,
well
did I
connected.
miss the window to do that? Because it's
Yes.
been like on my to-do list and rolling through. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was
You're-
only for a few days. Yeah.
I think they added one more day because people said, "Why did you drop it over the weekend?" You're so well connected in the industry. I think the way people move around is indicative, and I mean, it's on a population basis. I mean, we think about these companies in terms of us being customers, but as an industry, people interested in the loyalty program space, generalizing from one case is not correct. But I know one major hotel executive went to run a supermarket program, for instance. What are the moves and scuttlebutt in the industry about, there's people interested as a career profession and impacted.
Oh, I mean, we've seen, Jeff Robertson went to healthcare, right? Blue Cross. He used to run Delta. We've seen go, into the old head of Mileage Plus went to Walgreens. So I think fundamentally, with the idea, so airlines have the most successful loyalty programs, period. They've turned what used to be a marketing expense into a profit center. And so, those executives are in demand elsewhere, but the fundamentals of loyalty marketing aren't really different in different businesses, right? You have recognition and reward. And so you've got your elite benefits. You treat your frequent customers, well or special, get people to feel close to the brand and come back, and you rebate something to them, especially in an environment where you have someone who, other than the decision maker who's actually paying the bill. That's when it's most effective to have the rebate, except in the case of airlines where you actually get the banks are the ones paying for those points. But those principles translate. I mean, actually, I think about Starwood execs who've gone on to Dunkin' Donuts, right? Like running the chief customer officer at Home Depot, exec from SPG, and Chris Holdren, Caesars, as their CMO. So even within the hotel space, but a different kind of customer. So, but like I said, the ideas are pretty fundamentally consistent.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you so much for a big surprise, Gary. We're going to rationalize the irrational, the pursuit of Delta status with Jamal. And I'm going to just surprise Tiffany and let her interview Jamal because I am so biased. I just got 2 million miler and I'm thinking about, if I could get just 133 people to gift me their reserve boosts for the remainder of the year, I would be up at 4 million, and Delta might, have somebody like cutting a cake to celebrate me, and in some other department, somebody auditing to say, what the heck just happened? Somebody flew 2 million miles, I got 2 million MQMs this year. So. Thank you, Gary.
I think we should do it. All right, great to see you all. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of the Chicago seminar. Not in Chicago. I miss it very much. I was at the first couple of them. I think I gave 4 talks at the very first one in Elk Grove. So
fantastic, and we hope it's back in person and hope to have you next year. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right, I am just going to disappear because
wait,
Jamal
I'm literally not prepared for this. What are we talking about? What's
Jamal
going on?
is prepared,
Why do I not have coffee?
He's Atlanta based. I said I love my Delta status. We can earn different. We can get extra MQMs this year by credit card offers on our cards, all of that. So I said, tell us about it. And Tiffany's also a Delta flyer. So away you two go.
Hold on. First, let's time out here. For everyone that is watching, Tiffany from 1 Mile at a Time and Gary Leff are here at the peak.
Oh,
Coming after this, I don't know what's happening here.
Jamal, you're way more than 6'7". It's you're
Yeah.
at least our 6'8" star here.
Yeah, and that's also not how the event works. Like that's my favorite thing about the Chicago seminars in general is it's just people being people and doing stuff. Like it doesn't matter. Everybody's great at something and everybody has experience in something that other people don't. And it's a very egalitarian, easy event.
No, I love it.
I mean, this is a little technically complicated, but in general, it's an easy event.
It is. Actually, that's great that you say that because again, we're going from the peak. I thrive in simplicity. So we're just gonna take it down and kind of work from ground level and then kind of scale up.
Okay. So very basic, just sort of since people may not know you. You got a baby, you got a wife, you have normal life, you're not doing miles and points all the time. So you've got to keep it pretty even keeled and manageable.
Yes, I am. Yeah, let's actually back up a little bit. Everyone that you have been seeing thus far is miles and points geniuses and have
Oh, stop with that. Okay. The blog is one tatted passport.
Yes, I was actually gonna say that.
Jamal is the expert. Go. No underselling yourself. Onward.
So I have a wife, a child, a full-time job. Like this is not my thing, but I do run a blog. It's called One Tatted Passport. That's the number one TATTED Passport. You can also find me on social media under the same name. And I do kind of more of the intro kind of things into the miles and points, but I talk about a lot of the trips that I do and review products and try to use my miles and points to live that Lux life. So we are going to talk about earning Delta status with MQMs. Again, starting from the ground level. Delta is known for great customer service and a solid onboard product. So understandably, they have a lot of loyal followers, specifically if you're living in a city like Atlanta or Detroit, somewhere like that, in their hubs. For those that are new or considering Delta status, this will kind of be a foundation. For those that are Delta loyalists and Delta fans, this will be more of a refresher. But there are 4 levels to Delta status. Silver, gold, platinum, diamond. I'm just going to be candid. Diamond takes a lot to achieve. So we're just going to leave them off the ballot right now. So those 3 levels, pretty easy to understand. With each level, you get different benefits, whether it be access to sky clubs, priority boarding, companion certificates, upgrades, which will be great because you're buying a economy ticket and then you get upgraded to business. Easy. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Delta actually requires you to meet thresholds to get status. You have to meet a certain number of MQMs, medallion qualification miles, and medallion qualification dollars, MQMs and MQDs. I know those acronyms are probably over a lot of people's heads. This is basically what they want you to do. They want you to fly on their planes, or at least in the Sky Team Alliance, and they want you to spend money with them. But this is where it gets really, really, really good. Amex actually offers Delta credit cards that come with MQM, MQMs, I guess? Yeah, MQMs. And all you have to do is spend on the card. Actually put purchases on those credit cards, and at certain points, you actually do not have to meet those thresholds, or they'll waive those thresholds. So the 2 primary cards, are the Delta Platinum card and the Delta Reserve card. Again, once you start to meet certain thresholds on those of spending, you actually some of those thresholds are actually waived. There was in the summer sometime, in July, maybe August, there was, and Stefan kind of made reference to this, but there was the MQM Boost, which actually cut your thresholds in half. So if you are extremely creative and extremely strategic, you can obtain status with Delta for basically 2 years. And again, going back to who they are and what they provide, it's worth its weight in gold. But obtaining status is not cheap. I should say that. It's not cheap. There will be some cost involved. But
do you want to throw in, like, why do you think, because I know that you've historically been pretty status agnostic. Yes. Do you find like it makes a difference now that you've got little one in tow? Like, why are the reasons why people should consider sort of jumping through these hoops and doing
that? Have you ever flown business class? No, I know you have.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, domestically, like you're talking about Delta, like if you're flying business class, most of the perks, the loyalty perks don't, it's a wash because you're getting those anyways as part of your business class ticket. So what are the sort of status benefits that people might care about, especially people who are traveling with their families?
Well, for me, again, going back to what you just said, I kind of avoid loyalty because every once in a while, both hotels and airlines, they change things up, and you've spent so much time like invested in this program, and then all of a sudden it just changes. And so I don't focus on loyalty too much. But the great thing about having loyalty and getting these perks are, like, for instance, with me having lounge access, that means a lot to me because I have a 2-year-old, and like I don't want to be at the gate. I want to be able to go to a lounge and get work done and take my daughter in, or there's a lot of benefits that come with having that status.
You don't need to sell me on it, but I want to. I want to, before we have to move you in our quick takes. I want to get the one element of your origin story that, and I interviewed Jamal a couple of weeks ago on this channel. You can pick it in the middle of it. He suddenly drops that he's in. Tiffany's out of the picture, but we'll let Tiffany go. I surprised her to do this, but origin story.
I'll come right back. I just literally have to get some more coffee. Otherwise, I'm going to be cranky. So it's early here on the West Coast still.
You just suddenly dropped. You were working as an airline employee at Northwest, and then suddenly just quit that and said, "I'm going to Central America for a year." And you quit the next day, and 2 days later, you're on a plane. And I mean, just incredible.
Yeah. You can go watch the interview that I did this a couple weeks ago on it's on the Facebook page, right?
Yeah, and Every Passport. It's the same YouTube channel.
YouTube
yep.
also.
Yep, right on the same channel, so everybody can check it out.
But yeah.
But what was that? What was that moment that you just said, "I'm quitting and leaving in 2 days"?
Yeah, so I kind of talked about this in the interview. To be honest, I mean, and to be candid, like I just was in a job that I graduated from college, was in a job that I did not like, and I just wanted to get away. And so I had looked up a ticket to Central America. I always wanted to study. Literally bought a ticket, I went to work for another day or two, quit my job, jumped on a plane, and went and lived in Central America for quite a while, probably too long. But I mean, I had a great time, and since then, the travel bug has just been stimulated. And that was, again, you said Northwest Airlines. This was 2 decades ago too. So.
Not one of those really old timers. It's Northwest Orient, All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Jamal. We've got Dia, the deal mommy, is going to talk about alternative to hotels.
There you go. Hello.
There we go. Alternatives to hotels in a bite-sized morsel.
It's funny, and talking about Northwest, just a real quick diversion. One of my first entries into luxury travel, not so much miles and points, was in 1996. I won a sweepstakes from Northwest Airlines, and we flew business class from DC to Detroit to Frankfurt, and spent 6 nights in the Frankfurt Airport Sheraton. as the prize to this thing. And when in 1996, I thought that we were just absolutely the kings and queens of the world. And now I'm like, oh my God, we're in an airport, Sheraton for 6 nights. But that's, that was like this big deal. And it sort of introduced me to this idea of, oh, wow, we could travel business class. And that's kind of how I got started looking into miles and points.
All right. So the very quick, what are the key sites we've got to know? Alternative to hotels, 3 minutes or less.
Okay. Real quick, basically what we're looking at here is timeshare. Most of what I like to do is timeshare rental. The thing you need to know about timeshare rental is that the main bank that timeshares are rented through is RCI. RCI is owned by Wyndham. And what they do is, first and foremost, offer their timeshare weeks as they're deposited. They offer them as withdrawals to their members. But what happens is that you have to remember that timeshare weeks are not money. Timeshare weeks are a resource that rapidly reduces in value, and by the date of check-in has a value of 0. So when you get close to the date of check-in, they're looking for ways to creatively dump these extra resources. So you're looking for things that are either last minute, or you're looking for places that have just too much inventory. For instance, like Orlando, you can always find timeshare rental in Orlando. The main sites where they dump these are twofold. There's one group of sites that are like affinity sites, and they are on Armed Forces Vacation Club and Heroes Vacation Club. Both of them technically are supposed to be a member, but I've never actually had anyone hit a threshold where they've been asked, because everything's rented through Wyndham. And through those sites, you can generally get weeks for about $349 to $399 up to 90 days out. Now, the basement of the basement, the bottom of the absolute cheapest, is a site called Sky Auction. Sky Auction's been around forever, and I think that people just sort of forget about them. But when it comes to last minute vacation rentals, they have so many different options, because the timeshare company RCI is just desperate to get this inventory off of their plate. So I was just on the site yesterday, and I saw a week in a 2-bedroom in Maui for next month. It's like $425. There are some places where you can always find stuff. You can always find stuff, like I said, Orlando, Williamsburg, Branson. But when you get closer in, you can also find, especially domestically, when I was looking this morning, I saw stuff in Colorado, like Vail and Avon, because it's pre-ski season. So for the fall, that's considered distressed inventory. So I saw a lot of weeks that were in there in like the $300 to $400 range. This is a week of accommodation in like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. Most of them are either Wyndham owned, or they're partners with Wyndham. So you definitely, as far as the quality, your mileage may vary. However, one of my little secrets, and bloggers, please don't blog this because I don't think it's supposed to be true, is that Sheraton and Marriott Vacation Club weeks show up on there. Currently, I saw some for Orlando and Williamsburg. And if you rent those and you pay your $299 for the week, you actually, when you check in, will get 7 nights of Marriott credit if you put your number in there. It's not supposed to work because it's supposed to be a third-party reservation. I've done it now at least 5 times, and it's worked 5 out of 5. So just sort of something to keep in mind if you need some last-minute Marriott credit, and you can, pop to Orlando or wherever they might have availability. You don't have to stay the whole time. You don't even have to check in the day of. You could use 1 night. And I have sort of a rule of thumb that if you're paying for a 3-night hotel stay, look for 7. And if you're paying for 10, look for a month, because really the price delta between the two becomes so low that you might actually find that you're cheaper off paying for a week than you are for 3 nights.
Oh, incredible. And yeah, it's perfect. And if you don't need those nights, then you at least get late checkout if you arrange, you can check out at 4, 6, 8. You don't need to negotiate the subject to availability if you've already got it, that extra night. That is awesome. That is fast. That is quick. I thank you. We are going to keep rolling along, but tell us where you are writing these days.
These days I'm at Forbes Advisor. We have started a credit card channel, and we're trying to do very objective reviews. If something stinks, we're going to tell you it stinks, because we don't really have skin in the game. So you'll see most of my content there. If you have any questions, easiest way to reach me always is Twitter. You can find me at the Dia Adams.
And your book?
My book is Disney World Hacks. Disney World is a tricky topic at the moment just because of everything going on. Hopefully soon it'll get back to normal and the normal rules will apply again. At this moment, the rules are pretty much out the window.
For me, it's a theoretical topic, but an interesting theoretical.
Well, you need to go to Shanghai. You're better off there.
Yes, thank you. It's wonderful to see you. We haven't seen you since you were at our home in Shanghai.
Yeah, look
Great
forward
to
to seeing you in person soon.
Thank you for joining.
All right, take care. Bye, guys.
All right. Oh, we got a smooth transition for a smooth character. You guys know this man. He's not wearing the suit top, but he's got the suit trousers on, I believe. But looking very cool. Welcome, Matthew of Live and Let's Fly.
Good to be with you.
You've got exactly 8 minutes to tell us about a program that is launching November 8th. I will put your deck on there. You've got to give us our quick takes as fast as you can.
Of course, yeah. Let's go through this quickly. For some of you who may be new in this game, I want to draw your attention to Aeroplan, which for years has been a great all-around program, especially on the redemption side. And they are modifying the program in a big way next month, effective November 8th. There's some downside, which I'll briefly touch on, but there's a lot of good, and I just want to briefly walk through. Important to note, you can transfer your Marriott points. It's an American Express transfer partner. It's the loyalty program of Air Canada. So keep Aeroplan in mind for your Star Alliance redemptions, both short haul and long haul. Good news is that fuel surcharges are going away. If you've used Aeroplan in the past, right, there's all sorts of good deals, but the really bad deal has been like to do, say, Lufthansa first class redemptions or Austrian Airlines redemptions originating in the US, where you can pay almost $1,000 in taxes and fees if you're connecting to another flight in Europe. Pretty ridiculous, right? Because it truly defeats the purpose of this so-called quote free redemption, although redemptions are never free. Fuel surcharges are going away. Instead, there's going to be a flat 39 Canadian dollar redemption fee on any ticket. And so the carriers like Swiss, United, or SAS that currently don't have a fuel surcharge, right, you're going to be paying a little more. But for Lufthansa, for Austrian, for some of the others, you're going to be paying a lot less. I think that's a net positive. Right now, the program is very generous. It allows a lot of clever routing, right, including 2 stopovers or a stopover and an open jaw. So you can do something like, let's say you're in Chicago. You fly Chicago to London, you do a stop. You fly to Frankfurt, you do a stop. You fly to Copenhagen, you do a stop. You come back. And that's all possible right now for 60,000 round trip in economy or 110,000 in business. Great deal. That's changing a bit. Good news is you're going to soon be allowed to do stopovers even on one-way awards, which is great. What's changing is that you're going to have to pay for them now. They're 5,000 miles each, and that won't be so bad, one in each direction, but keep that in mind. And if you're planning sort of a trip with a couple stopovers, you may want to book before November 8th. I have to give Aeroplan great credit for keeping the award chart. It's sort of a hybrid chart that combines regions and distance. It's clever. The people at the Aeroplan program are smart. I know some of them, and they're geeky nerds like I am, like you are. And they put a tremendous amount of thought into this program, and I think it's a really good thing overall. There's going to be a family sharing option where you can pool points from family members, which is a good way. Like, say, if a family member has access to American Express and you don't, they can transfer points in, and then you can share and pool points. That'll be a good thing. There'll also be a cash and points option. We're still waiting for details on that, so stay tuned. And I think the good news is if you're used to booking anything complex on Airplan, you know that the website's a bit clunky. You've got to call in and deal with sometimes very long call center queues to even speak to an agent and then sort of wrestle with them to book the ticket. Great news is that we're told that this new website is going to be very advanced and very complex, and you're going to be able to do a lot yourself. And so I'm looking forward to that. They're going to divide the world into 4 zones. All right, if we go to the next slide, there's North America, Atlantic, Pacific, and South America. And within each zone, right, you're going to be charged a zone price plus a distance price, and it's going to be cumulative. It won't be from your starting point to your ending point. If you decide to get to London by going through Frankfurt and Copenhagen and Lisbon, right, you're going to pay for the total mileage you travel, not just from beginning to end. So keep that in mind. A couple sweet spots I want to discuss, right? Within the North America region, which includes Canada, United States, and Mexico, there's some pretty good deals, right? If you're doing like a last minute short haul redemption, right, you can do it for as little as 6,000 points in economy class. And you're also looking like at the upper end. If you look at the chart in the bottom right, let's say, you want to travel from Chicago to Honolulu in business class. If you can find the space, you can do that for 35,000 miles one way, which isn't a bad thing. Before, right, the good thing for me on the West Coast was like the price to travel to, say, Europe was the same whether you're on the West Coast or the East Coast. For those on the East Coast and for some sort of going a bit west, right, it's going to be cheaper now because they're doing it based upon distance, not just on region. For those on the West Coast, right, it's going to be a little more expensive than before. And you save some money by not having the fuel surcharge, but redemption rates are going up like quite a bit in a sense that it's almost a wash. Still, overall, a very good program. Check out my blog if you want me, if you're looking for more detail. And once this new program goes live early next month, I'll be breaking it down even more. There's still some unknowns. But again, I mean, the point I want to draw is that it's a good, strong, solid program overall, and it will continue to be so next month.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you really did it in 8 minutes. That's awesome. And just quickly in closing, this is the 1 year in recent times that I've not had some scheme or plan to justify, rationalize Star Gold that I don't really need anymore. What are the candidates now for Easy Star Gold or Lifetime Star Gold? Have things changed for the next year or two?
No, not really. It's still one program I direct people to. It used to be Chris Flyer because Singapore was easy because you earn full points in the lowest economy class fares. That's not available anymore. I guess my favorite would be Turkish Airlines. One, because you get the status for 2 years. And two, because, we didn't talk about the Turkish redemption program, but that's a city transfer partner, and there's some very, very good deals. Like I talked about short haul awards on Aeroplan. They're even better using Turkish miles. And so Turkish miles have some sweet spots as well. So my answer would be Turkish.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us today, Matthew Clint.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with
you. And we have got reselling for the holidays. I'm sure you all know the voices from Miles to Memories podcast, the new Disney podcast, Disney World Hacks, and so much going on. They even made it onto the most widely read blogs I love, blogs I like, blogs I hate list. They have moved up the charts. That is a feat that I have not seen done in years. Welcome, Mark and Sean, Miles to Memories.
Thanks for having us. To be clear, we actually worked our way up the chart. Then we came off the chart completely for a couple of years, and then we got all the love again from our favorite troll out there. So
and to that point, it was about how you guys have carved out this independent voice, this real business. It's independent, and I believe that even if people have different content preferences, types of deals, different things that the independent points blogs should really be championed and supported. And there's not too many left that have found a way to make this a going concern. So talk about how you've kept that voice, how you decide what content to cover, and just how you guys decide how many exclamation points to put, the whole the whole secret success formula. Oh, Mark, we've got you without audio. It's not the mute button, so it might be.
Well, I'll talk while he tries to fix that. The first thing I did well was hire Mark a couple years ago. He started out in our Facebook group, and then he's been sort of instrumental in shaping the content on the site. He actually runs the scheduling, and he is the managing editor of the site, so he does that day to day. And we really are just looking for, like you said, independent voices, people who are in the community who love this stuff as much as we do, and just trying to, carve out that sort of voice of the community and not be as corporate as maybe some of the other blogs are or have become over the years. So that's really
is my mic working now?
Your mic is working. So
yes, victory.
So we'll recap. So tell us all the places to find you. There's the site, the Facebook group, the podcast, the Patreon, everything. Just give us the rundown.
Yeah, milestomemories.com is the site, and patreon.com/milestomemories. We have over 200 people in our private Facebook Discord. It's like $10 a month. They get private podcasts, everything every month, the MTM podcast. And then we have our YouTube channel, just been blowing up, which that's about Las Vegas. So our YouTube channel is about Las Vegas, everything else about miles and points.
And Disney as well?
Yeah, Disney Hacks is another podcast that we produce, disneyhacks.com.
Fantastic.
So that is a lot of places.
Yeah. Reselling.
Almost as many as Joe gives us on at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time here, so we better start talking about retail.
you picked a great year to move big into Vegas and Disney. So it's but we got to get into that topic fast. Reselling for the holidays. I know a lot of points people that have, both for the opportunity and because they're not on the road, they've realized there's a lot they can do in reselling and have gotten in so many different ways. Tell us about it.
Well, Mark, we were going to start by just talking about some of the things that we're finding interesting this holiday season. As many people out there know, there's probably been more opportunity this year just because the markets are so weird with people being stuck at home. And so earlier in the year, there were high demands for pools, things like that. Mark, what are you looking at into the holiday season for reselling?
I think the big one is video game consoles. Every year they're pretty popular, but this year with the new release of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and even the Nintendo Switch was really big over the summer. Everybody was trying to get one, and people were making hundreds of dollars off of that, selling 40, 50, 60 of them at pretty quickly. It's died down some, so I wouldn't dive into Switch anymore. If you have some, I think that the price will go up as we get closer to the holidays. Maybe the Animal Crossing version is one that you could still buy if you find it, because that's kind of special and everybody loves Animal Crossing. But yeah, the Xbox and the PlayStation are where it's at. If you can get your hands on them when they open up pre-sales and stuff like that, they'll be a good money maker. So I know that's an area that you've been focusing on too, right, Sean?
Yeah, obviously that's sort of low-hanging fruit with the consoles, but I think beyond that, there's some opportunity obviously in toys. This year, the toy market is a little different. There haven't been nearly as many new toy releases, mainly because of COVID affecting buying and stuff like that. So I expect some of the releases that are really popular to be in short supply. And then just look at seasonal items again. Things like over the summer, pools were selling well. There will be things this fall that do well just because they're seasonal and more people are going to be spending time at home as opposed to being out. So look for that. But, Mark, where are we selling stuff? I sell a lot of stuff on Amazon, but we also use a variety of apps based on the type of product we're selling. Amazon isn't the one-step solution for us. Where are some of the places you sell stuff?
I still sell on Craigslist, even though I get a lot of jokes about it being an old man. Selling on Craigslist, because everybody's kind of made the shift to Facebook Marketplace, but I find people are kind of rude on there. I get a lot of, whenever you post stuff, they'll give you a lot of hate, like, oh, I can find this in the store, even though they can't find it in the store, and you're just trying to gouge people. Where on Craigslist, everybody kind of knows what's going on, and I don't run into any people trying to drop my price or anything like that as much. One way I think that I do better on Craigslist is I put in there that I want to meet at a police station. A lot of police stations will have a specific parking area for reselling. They'll have signs, there'll be cameras, extra lighting, stuff like that. So I think that's a really good thing to put in there. Like, I'll meet at this police station or this police station if you have a couple near you. Then people know you're more legit. They feel less worried about it. And then also scammers aren't going to come out to a police station and try to rip you off right in front of camera. So I do think that gets me better prices and, better responses. I do a little bit of eBay, not as much as I used to. The fees are kind of killer. If you're doing $1,000 or more, which isn't a ton if you're selling, consoles or whatever on big ticket items, I would look into getting a store. I think it's like 18, 20 bucks. You usually save about 2% on your fees. So a lot of people overlook it. But if you're picking up into that avenue or you're selling there, I would definitely look into getting a store. I know there's some other apps you use, right, Sean?
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is one I know a lot of people use, tend to get lowball offers a lot, but of course the barrier to entry there is low. But I believe on that, anybody can leave a review of your item without buying it. So that kind of makes things frustrating because there's a lot of low ballers. You say no, they'll leave you a bad review. Other apps like OfferUp is good locally. You can build a reputation and buyers can build a reputation. So if you're a little bit more weary about meeting people, that's sort of a good way to do it. And of course, Mercari is a good one. That is actually an online marketplace that's a lot more flexible than maybe eBay and Amazon in some ways. So my point, I guess our point here is to diversify and be comfortable with what you're doing and to sort of, be a little conservative in certain ways so that you're not putting yourself in a bad position. And that kind of goes to the next topic, which is, don't overextend. When you're reselling, have a plan B, prepare for things. Something might be selling great today. By the time you get it in stock and you can sell it, there might be 1 million of them in stock somewhere. So always have a plan B. Don't overextend. Don't, overfloat your stuff when you're doing this. And, take it easy. Kind of get into products that so that you kind of understand the market maybe a little bit better while you're going through that. And, this is a business. So make sure you're valuing your time and you're valuing everything you're putting into it. This isn't just for MS. This isn't just to generate points. I generate millions of points a year reselling, but I make profit. That's really what you have to do because it takes so much time and effort. And Mark, I think one more thing we wanted to talk about real quick is buyers clubs, because I know a lot of people may not want to resell themselves, but we just had Amazon Prime Day. Buyers clubs had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of inventory people could have bought and shipped to these buyers clubs and gotten reimbursed for. What are your sort of tips for buyers clubs?
Yeah, I'd say, similar buyers clubs for items or buyers for gift cards, they kind of work the same. You're buying the product. They send you the info and say, hey, I want you to buy this, computer, this, these AirPods, stuff like that. And then you send it in. We had the PFS coin deal a couple weeks ago, similar thing. That's a buyers club essentially for coins. So you're buying the item, you send it in, then they send you money. Sometimes there's a small profit. A lot of times it's just for points. So be careful with that. Don't overextend yourself because you're sending a product to somebody you don't know. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that process. Most of them are pretty good, haven't had issues, but we do, we've had the plastic merchant in the back in the day for gift card reselling that just went bankrupt and a lot of people lost a lot of money. So I would say the biggest thing, and anything you get into reselling points, miles thing, don't overextend. Only go in as deep as you can afford to lose because there is that chance it could happen. I don't really go into the buyers clubs that much, but I know you work with a couple, Sean. Are there any that you use that you've liked in the past?
Well, I'm not going to endorse any, but I recommend using the community here, the Chicago seminars. There's plenty of people that are doing this, and ask people their experiences. But also just make sure you hold these buyers clubs accountable and look for any red flags. So a red flag that happens often is they overextend and then they'll start delaying payments, or payments will take longer. That's a big, big problem. Or if you start having problems with them not checking in things correctly. I had a problem with one of the buyers clubs where I just stopped selling to them because every time I would send them something, they would pay me an incorrect amount, less than they were supposed to. And I would get it fixed and it became an issue. And that's not something I want to do business with. So just kind of pick and choose. It can be really great. Like Prime Day, I know many people, thousands and thousands of dollars to spend, and that's really fun. But on the other side, if you have to worry about
make sure they're all delivered, checked in, registered by the buyers.
Yeah, organization is key.
Yeah, and and I love that you've talked about it as a real business, because when I hear people say, "Oh, it's a game," I'm like, it's a game that you can lose real money like any real business. So I'd rather call it a business. For people that are interested in this beginner on-ramp to start dabbling in a measured way, small amounts, do you think the gift card reselling or the product reselling approach? Let's say you're going through buyers clubs that you've found that are reputable. Which of the on-ramps do you think is a better teacher, a better entry point to start building your own systems and how to do this business?
I think it really depends on the person and sort of what deals make sense to them and what market makes sense to them. I think gift card reselling is probably a little simpler because there's less, dealing with physical inventory. You do have physical gift cards, but it's more, it's less to deal with, I think, overall. But there's definitely less potential for profit. So you can make a lot more money selling merchandise. But I recommend, like you said, the buyers clubs, whether it's for gift cards or for merchandise, if you get in with them, you'll start to see what they're buying. And it just starts to kind of get the wheels in motion if you eventually want to start doing stuff yourself. But again, I think the number one tip is start with something that you know a little bit, because that will help you understand the market a little bit better and be more successful.
From the first day I heard about reselling is I just had this picture of my wife coming home and me having like half of the apartment filled with digital cameras I can't sell or something, and saying, okay, that's it. You're done with this.
If you need to know about creepy dolls, Sean's your guy.
Creepy dolls, toys, yeah, everything. I love anything that's going to make me money. I will sell over the years. So I've definitely peddled some interesting wares. Yeah.
And that's awesome. We'll close with that wonderful Mark laugh. Thank you. Thank you, Sean, founder of Miles to Memories, Mark, managing editor of Miles to Memories. Great to have you both. For those of you getting into reselling, do check out all their groups and start networking and learning about how you can potentially take this on as a business, we'll say, not as a hobby.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. All right. Okay, we've got Hyatt coming up, but we've got Hyatt coming up in a moment, but we're near the end, and we will have a little bit of an after party. So a few people have messaged me from the audience. They want to join in. If you're connected to me on Facebook, if you're in Chicago Seminars Facebook group, if you've got a way to reach me, or email chicagoseminars2020@gmail.com, you want to come on, we'll do a little bit of an after party here for the hour from 1 o'clock to 2. People popping on, socializing. If I can only get so many on screen at once, but we'll pop people in and out, keep it moving, say hi to everyone, and stick around for that. So I am bringing in the originator of the Chicago Seminars idea, a concept. He's been involved every year, done so much for it. Win Schaefer.
Hi, do you see me?
I do see you. I hear you. And we are here to talk Hyatt. And Hyatt, I've never paid much attention to. I've had like 2 paid stays in the past few years. But even I'm tempted by, do I want to have a 30-day stay that checks out January 3rd or 4th this year and get Globalist?
Right. I just want to say I'm glad the guys before me talked about business, because I was going to mention that briefly. I don't know if anybody talked about this, but if you have a business, a lot of these expenditures, hotel stays, airfares, rental cars, can become tax deductible, because you go to visit an auction house or a supplier or what have you, wherever you are, Boston or Denver or wherever. Once you have a business, you can start accumulating suppliers and customers, and totally legitimate thing to do, and you can end up saving quite a bit on your taxes. Plus, you can write off part of your house, you can write off your internet, you can write off your phone. Something to consider. I've been selling on eBay for 18 years. That's my place I go to. I'm in the collectible paper business: books, stamps, letterheads, photographs, stuff like that. I advise you just to pick something you like, something tools, baby clothes, anything, and figure out ways to buy them wholesale and start a business. I did the math, and I found out I'm making more money on my business than I was trying to go to Walmart and manufacturer spend. Excuse me. Anyway, so Hyatt. I like Hyatt for a bunch of reasons. One is that they don't keep continuously kicking me in the teeth the way Marriott has been and Hilton has, with devaluations and changes, and I just don't like the way that other programs have been treating people. One drawback with Hyatt is the footprint is fairly limited, and so you're going to have a backup program probably. So one of the others, or Choice, is a good one right now because they have all kinds of promos going. Let's see. I'm not going to talk about the lower levels of Hyatt, just the higher one, Globalist, which is you got to get 60 nights in the calendar year. The credit card, which you should get because it gives you 2 nights per $5,000 spend. Quite valuable. You get 1 point per dollar on all spend. I value a Hyatt point at about 2 cents. I can usually get 1.8 to 2 cents, but most people say 1.5, 1.6. Credit card gives you a free night every year just for holding it. It gives you a free night when you spend 15,000 in the calendar year. The program gives you another one when you hit 30 nights for the year. These are all category 4. And then at 60 nights, you get a category 7, which is, Park Hyatt, which could be a $800 hotel room. The current promo, well, let me talk about, you get 4 guaranteed suite upgrades per year. Okay, so a suite upgrade means guaranteed in advance, if it's available at the time of reservation, 4 times for up to a week. I'm gonna have to plug in my phone here because my charge is going down more rapidly than I had figured. All right.
You've got in 1 minute or less the Hyatt deal. Then the battery's running out. We're ready to close. So give us the big pitch.
Okay. Nicholas at Frequent Miler has covered it in detail. You can go find it. I think he posted 2 days ago. They're doubling your nights if you stay over January 1st. So a 30-day stay checking in December 6th or whatever, checking out after January 1st, according to all indications, you're going to get double credit. So if a 30-night stay, which you can get down with points, the current bonus journeys deal, which is which we can read about on Facebook. I'm sorry, Flyer Talk or Nicholas's blog. Is you can get probably net cost after points, around $1,000 maybe, or not even, and that will give you globalist status, which you can loan to your friends for up to 2 years, or just over 2 years. It's a great deal, and I highly recommend it. You got to get the credit card though. It's one of the best credit cards out there. The free hotel night per year pays for the fee, in my opinion.
Right, and you've got your Flyer Talk handle. Too many books. People are always curious about your books and paper. Tell us about your vocation.
I was in the computer business, and I sold out in 1992, and I got into the book business. I'm into books and paper and photographs, brochures, all that kind of stuff. And I've got, I don't know, 3,000 bankers boxes full of books and paper, letterheads. Anyway, just for some reason that came to me when it was time to sign up. In fact, I just bought in the last month 520 more boxes of stuff. So I'm probably going to end up dying with most of it, but it's fun.
Fantastic. And to interrupt, for those, I guess it wasn't clear, the after party will be on this feed. Just stay tuned. For those that I referenced the Facebook book group, we're catching up with approvals to it. But you don't need to be in the Facebook group. We'll stay right on this feed. I just mentioned that as one way to reach me if you want to join up on camera. So again, you can message me if you're connected to me on any different platforms, or Chicago Seminars 2020 at gmail.com. We're watching the box, and we're catching up on the Facebook approvals, but that'll be more of the after party, we'll say. So yes.
Hope to see you next year in Chicago.
Yes, well, thank you. That's wonderful to hear from you. And I mean, this whole Hyatt thing, I mean, it is quite tempting. It's just like, the one hotel program that has done this, this incredible promotion that we expected others to do. And the Marriott even just said, "Oh, we're just extending our current promo. We're doing nothing more creative than that." So. Thank you, Wynn. Thank you for joining.
Okay, bye.
All right. We are at the end of our official time. It's been a fun event for you all, I hope. We brought back all the familiar faces we could rope into a Saturday morning like this. We're saying thank you for Chicago Seminars. And then we've got the requests coming in, so we'll start loading people in for the official after party. But this is the end of the formal program, and now we'll just get a bit nutty and see who who calls in. It becomes a call-in show right now. So, all right, we've got the first one already loading up. Here we go. Right. Appreciate all of you. As I said, we're catching up on the Facebook approvals, and I didn't think through the process of everybody would try to join the group during the event, so that's why we're behind for a few of them. But we are good. We are happy. I see a lot of fun comments. A lot of people joined. That's great. And we got a lot of tickets, a lot to contribute to the charity, so that's fantastic. And he's on the way. First guest. Sorry. Right. Here we go. All right. Where's the after party? Yes, I see all the comments coming in. So the after party is right here. The after party will be on Facebook, but we've got people loading up right now. Mm-hmm. All right. There he is. All right. Our Delta travel vacations expert, Eric Gunderson, is here.
Hello.
We've got you. What's new in Delta vacation packages?
Oh, well, you can get a lot of savings if you get unpublished air rather than paying the published rate, that's for sure. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Get a great deal without having to pay for a whole bunch of extra stuff along with it. So, can you still hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
You've never been so reticent. So,
yeah, basically the idea with a vacation package for any airline or specifically Delta here is that you can get an unpublished air rate. Meaning a less expensive ticket than what you would pay by just going online and searching for the prevailing fare by combining it with a car or with a hotel or both. And the trick for doing these packages is to find the least expensive add-on that you must have to get the deal on the air. So, for example, a domestic itinerary, it does vary.
Oop, I think we lost you for a moment there. Eric, it seems you've cut out. Huh. I've lost audio on Eric. These are the ones that we've not done the tech connection, so I have lost audio on Eric. I'll see what I can do, and we'll see if we can also get the next guest in while we're sorting out the tech with Eric. All right. Yes, so for those that I ended up confusing everything, stay in the YouTube. We're right here. We've got, yep, Eric was about to to share the big secrets. So again, if you're connected on Facebook to me, you can message me that way, Chicago Seminars 2020. And let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm sending these out, and we've got a bunch of emails coming in. All right. Okay. See all these people loading up. We can get in a few at a time. Okay. So again, the links I'm sending to people is if you want to be on camera. If you want to just keep following along, we're staying on YouTube. We're keeping it simple, and I've managed to confuse everybody, so that's my fault. But if you want to pop on camera, chat for a few minutes, you are welcome. All right, so I've replied to everything that's coming in, so we shall see who else is here for the after party. One of the big MS-er whales was about to join, and now he looks like he has vanished. So, but we do have Eric back. He is going to tell us the big secret about Delta Vacation, and he vanished.
I'm not sure. I lost Stefan, and all of a sudden it said that the entire thing had gone off. So hopefully everybody can hear me now.
I can, yes.
Awesome. So basically, what you need to do is scale the savings by having more than one passenger on the itinerary. I think I was still on board when I was talking about that. Where did I leave off?
You were about to give us the big secret of MS.
No, unfortunately, that'll have to be another day. Somebody will have to tell me that one first. Yeah, so if you can combine the least expensive air and hotel, or excuse me, the least expensive car or hotel with your air, that will allow you to save on the air. So, for example, on a Europe, if you have a specific hotel that you want to stay at that has a good rate on Delta Vacations and you can get 3 nights there, great. Otherwise, maybe just find the cheapest hotel, and even if you don't use that, you can book that cheap hotel for 3 nights in Europe, for example, and maybe you get $600 published air or unpublished as opposed to $1,200 published, or $1,000 unpublished air as opposed to $2,800 published air. There's all kinds of great deals, and you can play around with the routings such that there's very little that you have to do to fulfill that obligation to get the that unpublished air rate. And if you're doing it with a car, typically you can have more people on the itinerary than what the car would theoretically hold if you're not actually planning on using that car. And of course, if you don't actually ever pick up the car, you're still paying for it. But if you're going to have 8 people on an itinerary, you can start really scaling the amount of savings you're going to get, even on a domestic on stuff like that. Domestic, obviously, the savings on air is going to be minimal, but when you're talking international, it's significant. Marty came in and asked, do any of the Delta Vacations promo codes actually work? Yes, they do. There's always some sort of promotion going on, and there's typically more than one. Right now it's for Sky Miles members and American Express members, there's promotions for Sky Bonus, there's promotions for Medallion members, and there's typically very little that you need to fulfill in order to take advantage of those. Typically the promotions require hotel, not just car. They don't necessarily require car as well, but sometimes a car is the cheaper way to go than hotel on a booking to satisfy the minimum requirement for unpublished air. But if you want to take advantage of a lot of those, sometimes you make sure hotel is a component in that. But you only need the minimum number of nights, so you could be traveling for 3 weeks in Europe, and you still only need 3 nights of hotel to qualify for that unpublished air. Furthermore, not everybody needs to be on the same exact air itinerary to have that one car satisfy the unpublished air requirement. So as long as you're on the same Delta Vacations PNR or confirmation number, within that Delta Vacations PNR confirmation number, you can have multiple air PNRs. So you can have one passenger leaving Detroit and going to Frankfurt on April 1st and coming back on April 30th. You can have another passenger leaving on the 1st and coming back on the 20th, another one leaving on the 10th and coming back the 30th. Within that same overall PNR that contains flights, hotel, car, etc. And as long as that PNR is satisfying the minimum requirements as a whole, all of the different air PNRs within that can get the unpublished air. So you have to call Delta Vacations for these. Unfortunately, their site is incredibly minimal in terms of what it allows you to do. But if you're willing to get on the phone with a representative, there's so many things that they can do for you, and there's really a great team of people there. You can also, get in touch with a travel agent like myself who does Delta Vacations, and people like that can work through those things for you. But something with Delta Vacations as simple as changing a flight number for the same flight. For example, Delta flight number XYZ is, it might be, or number 13 might be, KLM KL456, or it might be AF, 2247, and it might be a different number for Alitalia. And some switching the flight to the partner flight number can mean a difference of a few $100s on that ticket. And just changing one flight out. So sometimes you can ask the representative, hey, do you mind pricing this out with this other partner flight number and see how it comes? And it's amazing what first doesn't come up on the website or doesn't come up on their screen as an option will all of a sudden, it's like, wow, that price is $300 less. I can't believe it. And that's what the representative will say too. It's like, all right, well, let's lock it in. And you can put stuff on hold with Delta Vacations without paying a penny for it. And on international, typically the holds will be 3 days. But you can call and ask for that hold to be pushed usually as far as 7 on an international itinerary.
I think this is such an important point about, there's things as a customer you can do on websites, and then potentially more or different on phones, and then agents have their own websites and their own phones, and all of these could be useful. So the always DIYers like me may be missing out on some tremendous deals by not considering that agents have totally different, a totally different way to get these things.
Absolutely. And always good to take a look at published air first, see what your options are there, have an idea of what you'd like your routing to be, and then start playing around with Delta Vacations and see what you can find. And sometimes, just like anything, like an award ticket or published air, you have to be willing to be flexible either on when or where you're going or what routing you're going to take, such that, you can lock in on the deal. The other thing that I do like to play around with, and some of my customers do this a lot with European itineraries, is taking. I'm in Detroit, so our nonstops, are into the hubs. We have flights into Amsterdam and Paris and Rome, and and Frankfurt. Etc. So non-hubs as well. But if you can connect in those hubs and spend some time there, and sometimes it's more than 24 hours. You create stopovers on the itinerary. It's amazing what it can do to that price sometimes, just blocking it out. And even without a stopover, if you can price that itinerary as separate legs. So if you're going to Hamburg via Amsterdam, you may actually price that Detroit to Hamburg. You could also price it Detroit to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Hamburg, and sometimes it's going to be a lot less. And generally you can have a total of 6 trip segments, along with however many flight segments are in each of those on the PNR. So there's a lot of stuff you can do.
Awesome, thank you, Eric. We've got Anthony joining in. Oop, the signal was good. Then he went, I guess, in Spaceballs. He hasn't quite gone plaid yet, but we'll see if we've got him on audio and the video comes back or not. We'll see.
I'm definitely here. A little loud, but I'm definitely here.
It's a little loud. What's your takeaway? What's your tip to share?
Are you asking me? Oh, there you go. There
Anthony, there you are. What's on your mind today? Points
Hey,
wise.
hey, we're here. We're at lunch outside. I apologize. It's really hard to hear. But I wanted to join in real quick.
Awesome. What's a quick takeaway? What's a quick tip? What's the deal you're working on now?
Can't hear anything. Wait, you can hear through this?
Yeah, we can hear this. All right. He's got all the deals. He's just got the very reticent. So thank you, Anthony. I think we'll if you're not able to hear, we'll have to drive. Oh, now it totally switched. So oh, now it's getting the playback. All the deals, he just got very reticent. So thank you. Sorry, everybody's still playing the video. So once Dave and Lisa mute it and give me a thumbs up, I'll put them back on. So mute the playback of the event and thumbs up. All right, we've got Dave and Lisa from Basic Travel 101. Tell us about your group. Tell us about yourselves.
Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Thanks for having us, Stefan. Great job so far. You've been really killing it with this production. And yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to make it happen this weekend. It's been awesome. A little bit about us. We're a Basic Travel couple. We've got a Facebook group, website, blog, and social media. We talk about points and miles and travel. On a little bit of a hiatus right now, but we've been getting into resell. And today we just bought a bunch of gift cards and took advantage of all the Prime Day deals. So we've been going pretty hard on that, building up our points stash for hopefully some 2021 travel. We had a couple big trips, including a wedding and a honeymoon canceled this year. So, we're hoping to come back strong next year and do the Maldives trip down to the Hilton Conrad. We've got a ton of Hilton points built up for that. And I don't know, today's been a crazy day. We bought Best Buy gift cards. We met up with a fellow points and miles enthusiast locally this morning for breakfast. I just did an AU for I sold a spot on one of my credit cards, and I got a bonus for Schwab for depositing $1,000 over there. So I've been all over the place today. What about you?
I can't say I've done that much today. I bought some gift cards and met up with another points person for breakfast, but that's about all I got so far.
Yeah. Working on that Hyatt Globalist. That was a really great tip.
Yes, I'm so excited I've been working on that. I actually think there was a status match opportunity. If we know a girl who manages one Hyatt locally, and she signed me up for the promotion where I think it was only 10 nights you had to stay within the 30 days. So I already booked 5 and stayed 5. So I think I'm just going to book another 5 I can't remember what the status gets me to, but I thought it got me.
Maybe?
No, because I'm already that.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, so working on that.
So if you need a World of Hyatt Global, a globalist booking, an honor booking, Lisa might be your girl.
When is the border opening up? Give us some hope.
Ooh.
They just pushed it back again
till
November.
Yeah, November 1st, possibly. The Canadian border just keeps playing with our hearts here.
And Lisa, about flying. So that's your work. What flying are you? Furloughed? You're out in the air. What's it like?
Yeah, I'm on an unpaid leave, so we didn't get furloughed, but I'm out until January 1st as of now. It could get extended. I think in December I'll bid for January. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go back to work or just keep going, because a lot of the flights, my base is in Fort Lauderdale. A lot of the flights there's like one flight a day out of Buffalo on my airline, and there's none direct anymore to Fort Lauderdale. So I think it's going to be a super hard commute just to get to work. So I don't know if it's worth it for me to go back.
Mm-hmm. And somebody, I think it was Sean Coomer or Mark, somebody made a really good point about taking the resell hobby into making it an actual business. Because we've been more hobbyist in the past, but now we just LLC'd our basic resell. And, a lot of people brought up some really good points about tax write-offs and really working that angle instance of a business and earning money off of it. It's always really been about points and miles for us prior to this time, like COVID times. And so it's a whole new rabbit hole that we've been going down.
Fantastic. And Anthony, do we have you back and on audio?
I can absolutely hear you now.
Awesome. Fantastic. Tell it you're out, you got the family, you're outside. What's on your mind points wise?
Yeah, no, we are. This time of year in Louisiana is amazing. Everywhere else is starting to get cold. We're finally getting outside because it's 100, 110 degrees in the summer. So I've actually been out for most of the day, so I'm going to have to catch up to all the videos. But I could not convince my wife to not go out on such a beautiful day. I don't know why it looks black and white on my screen, but if you could see the background, you'd see that it's a great day to be outside down here. But points and miles standpoint, I'm chugging along. We were in the New Orleans area. It's the West Coast version or the Houston version that no one talks about. We love it down here for the friendly folks that we deal with at the stores, for the friendly folks that we have, and for the low cost of purchasing. A lot of arbitrage opportunities down here. So you're speaking to my language, and you're talking about all the LLC registrations. I'm a CPA by trade, and I try to set up any shell that I can for everything that I can, and it's the best way to milk the tax system. So I'm all about it. So
fantastic. And I guess your tax season just finally concluded. It was a mixed blessing, I suppose.
I'm a financial auditor by trade at our firm, but you have to have an audit to get a tax return done. So we're just as busy as those guys are. But 8/10/15 was a huge deadline. We were out all Thursday night and took off Friday, so it was worth it. So
awesome. Well, thank you. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I want to second the fall foliage. That's something we've been doing a lot lately. We're up in Western New York, Buffalo, and it's peak season right now. So we've been getting out on some hikes and seeing the leaves change. It's been really beautiful. Definitely encourage anybody to take advantage of that if they can.
And you did take some trips, I think, through even out west, didn't you, this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been the summer of national parks. we did Utah, the Big Five, then we went up to Wyoming and Montana, did Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, and went a little bit further west, and we came back and did a New England road trip, went to Acadia National Park, which is awesome. So there's a lot of parks to see. I definitely encourage folks to get out there on the road if you have the opportunity to.
Fantastic. All right. And I'm going to have to bump our oldest participant, Eric, out. We've got our next guest coming in. Thank you for joining in, Eric.
Bye.
We've got the helper behind the scenes who stood me up for the big close, but there she is. Always wonderful in an audience to have somebody who's smiling and attentive in a crowd, and you were doing it virtually. Tell us who you are.
I'm Ulla. I am Stefan's favorite in handy, bright and early on a Sunday morning. That was a little rough today too, even though it's not quite as early. I offered Stefan not last year, God, it was only in March, it seems like a year ago, to help him with the event in Chicago, since I am in Chicago. I thought I can fold napkins or maybe help the hotel defrost the pizza, but it didn't quite turn out that way. But I think I'm helping him a little bit and looking at the beautiful lake in Chicago right now. And yeah, hopefully see everyone next year in person. This year.
Yes.
It's all a blur.
That's fantastic, and thank you for your help, because while this was going on, she's been helping me email people that have had login issues. People were still buying tickets as we started, so that's great, and great people are excited about participating. And even though you stood me up for the close, I still thank you for all of all of your great time, and I won't let you disconnect the camera then. So I know people are camera shy. If anybody else wants to join in, they are welcome to. Find a way to message me. As I said, Chicago Seminars 2020. People keep messaging me, but they don't want to be on camera. They just want to say hi. So I know everybody's camera shy. Christine Hall, if you're still out there, I know you got you got ready to be on camera, thinking this was a Zoom. So we'll see if she's able to join. Let's just see here. All right. what I'm curious for so many. I mean, I've stopped paying attention to a lot of the travel deals, but now I feel like I just spend all my time, getting $20 T-Mobile credits, and it is driving me nuts. It's like I can't stop and not do the deals, but also it's why do I wake up in the morning thinking did I pay T-Mobile an extra $20 today?
Yeah, I totally get that. We just went to T-Mobile yesterday, spent 90 minutes working on cutting a deal to get the new iPhone 12s. So tis the season, I suppose.
Tis the season. Are there any? I'm trying to think. I just went down this rabbit hole. I'm not an iPhone user, so it was a few weeks ago with the iPhone SE. I'm not the. I mean the Galaxy FE SE, and it was another. It's like the point style thing where you end up going and going and going, and that's a better format. And but I couldn't have a way to say I'm not the big box. So. But I went to the rabbit hole on all these buy one get ones and what you can sell, what you can't, and I was like, geez, I've just made my life so incredibly complicated that I'm just going to wait for a better. And finally an offer came where it was just nothing difficult to do, because I was actually I needed to add a line, so I did that. But it was like, the points thing has created this. It's a benefit in a way, but a bit of a burden, that it's like you can't just go and get a phone. Then you have to. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 3 days of research to go get a phone.
Oh yeah, it's complicated. There's all these add-ons and variations and features and perks, and it's a lot. T-Mobile is great. I can't say enough about T-Mobile. Internationally, I love their plans.
Yeah.
We use them all over the world and haven't had any issues. Compared to Verizon, where we would come back and get, a bill that had all these crazy surcharges that were, I don't know. I remember we went to Egypt one time. We came back with a $1,000 bill, and it made no sense.
That was crazy. We switched right after that.
Yeah, we called T-Mobile the next day. And T-Mobile Tuesdays too, right? That's something that sometimes people overlook, but there's some pretty good free promotions that they give out each week. Usually like $2 to $3 coupons or gift cards and things like that.
Since you two see so many beginners coming into your group, I mean, what are they asking about? What are they interested in these months? I mean, I think only a small percentage would be interested in actually traveling right now. So why are they? What are they excited about?
I think
cashback.
Yeah.
Cashback deals.
Bank account bonuses.
Bank account bonuses are huge.
The $40 Target red card, debit card bonus. Everyone, so many people jumped on that one.
That was a good one.
It was a good one, but it's just funny when we're like, here's a $500 offer you can get, but the $40 is what most people would do. So.
Yeah. I think that I've just opened up 3 bank accounts to get bonuses recently. I usually get a couple $1,000s a year on that. Just working the direct deposits and cycling those accounts are pretty lucrative if you stay on top of it. Although I did the Schwab recently, and they didn't give me the bonus in time, and I had to call them like 3 or 4 times before they threw me the $100 for the $1,000 deposit. But yeah, I just did Chase. I did the Chase checking. I did the M&T, which is the local New York branch, for $250, and the Schwab and the Aspiration debit, which is actually pretty easy to do. It doesn't require direct deposit. You just have to throw $1,000 in and then spend $1,000 to get. I remember when it's in Egypt.
We have got somebody in flight. Introduce yourself, sir. We have got somebody in flight. Introduce yourself. You got to mute it, John.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay? Anyone?
Yes, you need to mute the YouTube, and then we're good.
Yes.
And then thumbs up when you've successfully done that. Okay. All right. Okay. Mute your YouTube. Are you ready, John? Have you muted your YouTube?
No.
Not ready. I see a lot of people posting about Google Fi in the chat. Yeah, I've never used Google Fi, but I have heard good things about it.
You can't mute your YouTube, John? Are you there, John? With YouTube muted.
Woman.
Okay.
Does this work?
Let's try. Yeah, I can hear it now.
No. Yes.
Very quiet. You're very quiet. Where are you flying to?
Oh well. There, I'll put my mic under the mask. Is that better?
You're going to have to be very loud, but we'll pop on. Christine Hall's in the waiting room, so you got one moment. Where are you flying to, John? Oh.
No.
All right. He tried. He's out.
30,000 feet away.
Hall, it's 1:30 in the morning in Bangkok. She's coming on. She put on makeup for this. And we've got the big reveal. Christine, there's a by your name, there's a little gray gear. If you can play with the video settings, we can't see you yet. Let's see if she can. This is why we spent all yesterday testing with everybody that's the plan guest, because it's always a dark art to get the video going. So I will pop her off. Marty's coming back on. Yes, sir. Yes, he is. We want more and more Marty. And let's see if we can figure out with Christine what's happening there. But Marty wants to jump back in because I didn't give him enough time. So we will get the Marty experience in just a moment while I try to troubleshoot Christine's situation. And I'm distracted from all the comments. So John said, yeah, Alaska wouldn't allow me to stream, so he couldn't hear us. So that was the issue. But he's flying Alaska. He's in his mask. He didn't take it off to stream, so that's very good.
Following the rules, I like it.
Yes. And he said thanks for the fun. So he tuned in flight. That's cool.
That is cool.
And, yeah. And let's just see. Marty's joining. And Christine, I'm trying to help her as well. Get on the audio. There is Marty. The Marty experience is back.
Hi. For some reason, my Bluetooth headphones decided to die, so I had to quickly switch to the corded ones. So I did want to share one little anecdote that I missed out on. So we did the moving truck, but we had a few extra things left over. And one of the arguments for elite status is extra baggage allowance. So I booked a $73 one-way on American. Using my British Airways Gold status, I was able to check 3 bags. Bags is the official rule, but the large size cardboard boxes at Home Depot and Lowe's happen to measure 60 linear inches each, and you're allowed 62, and that's length plus width plus height altogether. I do recommend the Lowe's ones because they're set up in landscape, so they're easier to carry versus portrait, which is the Home Depot ones. So I took 2 of those to New Jersey a couple of weeks ago. And then I took a third item that you saw, which was the drink cart. And that was a load of fun to watch the agent scanning each bag as it came out on baggage claim, and out pops a drink trolley down the chute. It was loads of fun. But one other thing to note is when you have status, and this relates back even to the Delta Vacations thing, it goes to the other people on your PNR. So we're in the process of moving. My father's going to come with us. So I'm actually going to fly back from New Jersey or New York to Las Vegas. And then he and I are going to fly together back to New York. So we get 6 pieces of luggage up to 70 pounds each on the American flight. And then further with that, the American flight had a schedule change. And if none of y'all know anything about schedule changes, they are like manna from heaven. So our little Vegas to Chicago to Newark or LaGuardia, I forget, is going to turn into Vegas to LA. And then I'm going to work an overnight layover in LA and then it's going to be LA to JFK on the 777, and then I'm going to confirm an upgrade in advance on that lie flat bed. So there's some really fun stuff with schedule changes in the era of Corona.
Schedule changes are fun. We had one in where were we going? Ecuador, but our flight on points was kind of horrible. I think we had 24 hours of traveling from South America, and there was a schedule change, and I got it switched to an overnight flight. It's still in business class and we dropped a segment too, so it was really.
Plus, we get to connect through like an airport that had some decent lounge action that we had been meaning to check out. I really want to see the new JFK Centurion Lounge right now. It's supposed to be really nice. So if you find a segment to do there, that's key. If you have access.
I mean, one can always book a ticket not using their Amex Platinum, but enter via security, and then perhaps once you've had your fun in the Centurion Lounge, cancel said ticket.
It's like those people that their remote their office in New York is you know, the LaGuardia Centurion for a while.
Well, for a while, JJ's work office was the Vegas Centurion Lounge. I think he had a good solid 3 months that he was there before they changed the rules.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm going to thank Dave and Lisa. We've got one more jumping in. Great to see you guys.
Bye.
Take care. All right. We have Brian, one of the great
Brian, my man.
Orders. We see your glasses on the top of your head. There you are. Now I've got the two people that have almost convinced me to go for BA Gold lifetime. The Marty and Brian show. Tell me about BA Gold in 2020. Still worth chasing. Lifetime gold.
Brian, your mic isn't on. Hit the unmute in the bottom of the screen.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
You've almost convinced me to go for.
You'll have to mute the YouTube though. So mute the YouTube, and then I'll unmute you here. You can thumbs up.
So while you're doing that, I can get started. So British Airways has reduced their qualifications and extended the period that you're valid for. British.
Oh. Go ahead, Marty.
British Airways was slightly devalued, though, in the past week. So, you know, one of the things that you can look at is sometimes having elite status in the airline that you like to fly isn't as good as having an elite status in an airline that is easier to acquire or better for your usage. So you heard earlier about, you know, acquiring Turkish Gold for 2 years and using that when you fly in United to get lounge access. For me, having elite status on British Airways and then flying on American has been very lucrative. Brian, you're still not getting mic there, bro.
So I'll
now, you know, acquiring Turkish Gold.
So Brian, you're still listening on YouTube, so you need to mute the YouTube so that's not playing. Otherwise, the sound comes back. Once you mute the YouTube, you can give us a thumbs up, and you can join on this platform. So Brian, mute the YouTube and thumbs up when you're ready. Marty, go ahead.
So one of the really nice things is, you know, in Star Alliance, it's all business class lounges except for like 1 or 2 first class lounges. Whereas in the One World, there's a ton of first class or pseudo first class lounges. And as a top tier elite member in any program except for American, you get access to those even on domestic itineraries. So I would book the $20 to $40 basic economy from Los Angeles to Las Vegas on American, put my British Airways number in, get 3 checked bags up to 70 pounds each, and go have an amazing dinner in the Qantas First Class Lounge, courtesy of my BA status. Now, the one thing that has changed in the past few days, and this is very unfortunate, American used to give access to their main cabin extra, their extra legroom seats, to other airline elites, and that has actually gone away. So that was one of the strongest assets that BA had, because you'd book anything other than basic economy on American, you put your BA number in and you would get exit row, main cabin extra, free booze, free luggage, access to the flagship lounges. It was just a very nice travel experience. And it's been slightly degraded, but I still recommend it.
The slightly degraded mean?
Well, agents have a lot of power, so you show up to your check-in desk with your seat 666 middle seat, E, and you're just real nice, and crazier things have been known to happen. One of my favorite tricks of the trade, so I keep an eye on the seat map, and this has worked really well on United recently, where I don't get free elite seating, and I was seated in a window seat. Well, I did want to be seated in economy minus with the tight leg room, and I looked at the seat map, and lo and behold, there was a window seat open in economy plus, and there were no windows open in the cheap seats. So I mosey on up to that gate agent, and I was like, "Hi, I'm in a aisle seat way back there. Do you have any window seats available, perchance?" And next thing I knew, I got a free upgrade to economy plus.
Oh.
That was coming home from the luggage cart experience.
I think we have Brian back. And
Brian.
Sorry about that. Took
now
too
we've
long
got
to
it.
set up.
Now
Anyway.
we know. Yes, lifetime BA gold.
Well, yeah, lifetime BA gold. I'm not gonna get there till long after Marty does, I think, at this rate, because I'm only 40% of the way, or 35, something like that right now. But it is an awfully good deal. If you can manage to put together the flights. You got to be flying and paying to fly up front for several years to make it work out. But you get an awful lot for it. Although now with American having just cut back on the no main cabin extra for British Airways elites, that hurts a little bit. But you still get lounge access and eventually flagship access once they decide to open the flagships back up. On all your flights. So even just getting it, I earn it every other year, and earn it one year and use it the next. So that's why it's taken me a little longer to do the lifetime BA Gold. But just BA Gold by itself is still a pretty good deal.
Fantastic. And what other are you traveling this year? What other deals are you working on? Points? You're here for the aviation, not for the gift card reselling. So.
Yeah, no, it's really right now it's been a matter of rescheduling things. I was supposed to be in New Zealand in July, August, so that got rescheduled to a cruise in February of this coming year, and that's almost certainly not going to work out. My Christmas, New Year's cruises are certainly going to have to be, well, not certainly, but 95% they're not going to happen either. But that's the value of points and miles, is you get a chance to get all your, everything's cancelable right now. So if I have to, if everything gets canceled out the way I expect it to, the out of pocket costs are going to be very, very small. But yeah, it's, I don't know how we might know, but there aren't too many of us who've actually been to all 11 now of the seminars. I know, Stefan, I think I met you at the first one.
I was the second one.
Second one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I do remember talking to you there about you going through your Amex financial review and what was all that craziness about.
Yeah.
But a long time ago. So, but yeah, I just really wanted to stop in and say hi to everybody. There's, plenty of people that I miss not being able to see this year, and travels. Well, the other thing is I have been doing a little bit of flying. My mom passed away last year, and so I've been flying back and forth between New York and Texas, which has been an adventure because either Texas doesn't want the New Yorkers or New York doesn't want the Texans. So that's been a little bit of a hassle to get back and forth to check on her place and deal with estate matters. But I've managed. The flights have been pretty crazy. Some of them actually, I shouldn't say that. The flights have generally been all right. But just the experience of being in empty airports all the time. Yeah, Marty's waving.
I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, Lula.
Thank you.
The one thing that I did get with my BA status was American actually greeted me like one of the concierge key greeters.
Oh, wow.
Like when they weren't busy with actual real concierge key people. It's like I was on one of my trips and they're like, "Hey, we're here to escort you to your next flight," which was a nice little gesture of theirs. That's what the people that, well beyond me, I guess that's just what they get all the time. But yeah, it was good. Anyway, I think I'm going to bow out, but I did, like I said,
sir.
everybody, and thanks for having me on, Stefan, and hopefully we'll all be together physically next year.
Great to see you. All right, let's see. There's one more request I'm handling. So I didn't mention, in addition to the faces you're seeing here, Marty, who just had to slip out, helped a tremendous amount with the event as well. So I was going to do a bow for both of the wonderful helpers in putting this together. I'm going to see if I can resolve this one request, if we can get this very special guest on, or we will close this and move over to the Facebook chat, which I am going through all of the approvals. We're making sure that everybody here is actually part of the group and part of the ticket. And Tom did share the download of the spreadsheet, and Zach shared the Facebook groups he was referring to. So, and our last guest, it's 1:30 in the morning in Bangkok, now 1:50, and we couldn't get the AV sorted, so we will close the event here. Thank you all for joining. I didn't even have ticket sales close until 1 p.m. Central, so people were still buying tickets 10 minutes before it ended. And of course, you can all watch on replay. Thank you for the great support, and I will allow my collaborator to say a smiley goodbye.
Thank you, Stefan. Great work. I was a tiny cog, but what you pulled off was pretty amazing.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your help. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and see you next year.
See you next